do it like that.
I did.
Oh, good, good. Yeah. Sure. You gotta.
Okay, I got you.
No press, man. I'm just saying I'm good about what we need.
Well, I want to welcome all of you and call this work session to order. Ms. Shuttleworth, if you will do the roll call.
Thurston,
Yes.
Garner,
Yes.
Mr. Bullock, Ms. Smiley, Mrs. Tanner,
Yes.
Mr. Edwards, Mrs. Hicks, Mr. Clear, Mrs. Breisgott.
Thank you all for coming today to talk to us and let us know what your needs are. We're looking forward to hearing it, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Thornton.
Okay.
Where to start with the elementary school first? Nothing like getting right under the bus.
Good morning. Would y'all like for me to go down each item and stop and ask if y'all have questions, or just go through all the way? How would y'all like me to do that? Yes, ma'am. Before I get started, I would like to say that these are proposed ideas directly from the teachers. I opened it up to them, got their ideas, and the 5 items that I'm presenting are their recommendations that I'm here with today. Oh, gotcha. Started out with our vision. Vision of La Crosse Elementary School is to build a model 21st century learning organization that cultivates thoughtful, engaged citizens prepared to contribute to the prosperity of the county, commonwealth, nation, and world. Our beliefs: all children can learn, and it's our job to see that they do. We have the skills and the will to make a difference in the learning of each child in our school. We share collective responsibility for their learning. The first item that I'm requesting is an instructional aid, which is approximately about $20,000. I would like to have that as an in-school suspension teacher. Right now, I currently do not have a, I guess, a designated area for in-school suspension. We have it in the main office. We have to be very creative with if a referral is written. I will say that our teachers go above and beyond not to have to write a referral. They communicate with parents several times, but there are some referrals on the first infraction that you have to write a referral. Right now, we have it in the main office, and like I said, I mean, just this week, I had a couple referrals that some of the students that had a referral that needed some type of timeout or in-school suspension, they're not serving it until Friday or Monday, just because I only have room for 2 students in the main office. With that, you know, one of the students' places is right outside my office, which is a concern to me because sometimes they are subject to confidentiality. You know, with them right outside my office, I have to be real careful with my volume in my office, so they don't hear anything that they shouldn't hear. This will also allow an area for students to work with minimum disruptions in direct supervision. There are some times that, you know, if they are in the office and if I do have them in the in-school suspension, they become a distraction or disruption to the main office. And then therefore I have to call home and say, could you please come pick them up? You know, with this area and with this direct supervision, this will allow us to keep kids in school as much as possible so they can have that direct supervision and, you know, work on their instruction. While I understand that suspending an ISS is not the answer and the only solution, it does give us additional support and aid when, you know, when this is needed.
Excuse me, what area of the school is going to be a separate area? that you want to hold in-school suspension in?
Yes, I'm thinking about the teacher resource room, maybe putting like a cubicle up halfway and having that area in there.
And on an average, how many children do you have per month?
Per month, right now, I'm at 154 fractions to this date. So I would say, I mean, this week I had 4 that are serving in-school suspension.
Okay.
Okay.
How many days do they usually stay?
Well, how I do it, I start off, I almost like hold up as a tier system. The first time, you know, I do a warning. The second time, they may have in-school suspension for during like specials or something like that, and then it moves on to in-school suspension for the entire day, and then we move from there. Let's just say that we do not have any kids in the in-school suspension area. You know, that's a great opportunity for, you know, to send that aid into another grade level to assist with, you know, peer tutoring, small group remediation, small group testing, read alouds. You know, there's always something that we can find them to do.
Okay.
Oh, I guess I have the clicker, right? I'm also asking for a full-time teacher, and I'm really hopefully, if I get lucky, have someone with a math specialist degree, especially since we're a focus school in math. But I would love for this teacher to strictly deal with interventions. People confuse the two terms, remediation and intervention. Remediation is, you know, remediating within the grade level, specific grade level, and that content, whereas intervention is actually, you know, working on skills that they haven't mastered in the years before. And if, you know, if they're working on a math problem, so to speak, and let's say long division, but they haven't mastered addition and multiplication, well, they're not going to get long division. So this intervention, right now we have 30 minutes designed a day for intervention, but having an additional support will allow someone to work throughout the day, looking at data and hitting our strongest needs. I'm also asking for instructional aides for grades 2, 3, and 4. I already have an instructional aide in kindergarten and grade 5. Again, just giving those grade levels additional support, you know, small group remediation, small group testing, read alouds. I mean, a lot of students have accommodations that would give the teachers additional support. Right now, and I have to give it to my staff, they go above and beyond. They'll send an email out, hey, I need help with the small group testing. You know, teachers are, you know, using their planning to assist other teachers. And like I said, just really go above and beyond. This would provide that additional support for them. I'm also asking for 4 additional Promethean boards. Right now, these are the only 4 teachers that don't have a Promethean board. And this is, you know, greatly assist in, you know, being able to implement technology within their classroom. Right now, I have left my art teacher, Title I, my reading specialist, and 1 of my music teachers. And the last item I'm asking for is $6,000 additional to my central office allocations each year. Right now, I have on average about $330 per staff member to use each year. And I mean, that money goes quick. When my teachers ask for something, I try to assist them and accommodate them, because if they're asking for it, then, you know, they seem that need is important to them. With the additional money, you know, I could concentrate on other support for the school, such as right now we are in desperate need of a sound system in the cafeteria. We need an awning for the sidewalk. Right now we were very blessed to have a sidewalk put in between the 2 of our buildings to cut down on loss of instructional time instead of going completely around the building. But now when it rains or bad weather, now we still have to continue to go around the building because they cannot use the sidewalk. You know, violin supplies, they're going to be repairs each year. cases, violin tape, bows, rosin. You know, we still have to look into SOL incentives, programs to help us with SOLs, such as SOL Pass, supplies for PD. We're still currently using the Accelerated Reader Program, library, art, and PE supplies, reading A to Z program, nonfiction book sets, and reading incentive programs, such as Reading Across America. We also love the Charlotte's Web, One Book, One School, and would like to do that maybe more than one time. And with these additional funds, maybe we'll implement that in the next year. Or if not, you know, have a project this year and maybe try to implement something the next year.
Do you have these listed in order that you want?
Yes, ma'am. Number one, my first, the in-school suspension teacher is my.
No, 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 right
Oh,
here.
no, that's just examples of what I would use the 6,000 for, ma'am.
Okay.
And
If you had to, what would be your number one priority on that list?
Number one priority, these are all the things that the teachers listed. I always go through my teachers. I ask them their greatest needs. Right now, they are really in, they want a awning for the sidewalk in between the buildings to cut down, I guess, loss of instructional time.
Yeah.
Mr. Camden, have you priced what an awning is going to cost?
Right now, we were looking at around $7,000 for the, because it's only about 98 feet.
So the $7,000 is more than what you're requesting.
Yes, sir, and if that's well, I have to sit on 6,000 one year and then, you know, save up or do a project here and set aside 500 this year and try to save up for that, then that's what we'll have to do.
If I can help with it. The awning, you'll see that repeated in Heather's budget, which is maintenance CIP. And so that would not be out of that 6,000.
Okay.
Those would all be instructional allocations.
So you have these listed, in the order that you want. So if, for some reason, I mean, we'd love for the Board of Supervisors to say, yes, we'll fund everything.
Yes, ma'am.
The top three are what your choices would be.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And the $300 per teacher central office, what is that?
That's the allocations that we're given each year, and I just broken it down of how much on average that I have for each teacher to spend. If I were to give $330 to each teacher, that would be my entire central office allocations.
How many teachers do you have in $300 per
About
teacher?
30 staff members that would, I guess, have the allocations given to them. And I had about $10,000 this year, starting off.
So the $6,000 is going to cover the $300 per teacher, or
No,
you just
this
saying?
is just additional to allow me to do extra things.
Have you priced the sound system for the cafeteria?
Sound system, I have not priced the sound system.
I'm just trying to figure out, is this going to be exactly what you need, or would you actually need more after you price it out? What is the $6,000 number based on?
6,000, I'm just asking for additional, because with this, like I said, you know, the money goes quick. And with the additional 6,000, that just gives me 6,000 additional dollars each year to be able to purchase things such as this. And like I said, if the sound system is 5,000, then that's 6,000 this year. And then, you know, maybe I wouldn't be able to, I guess, exactly purchase this whole list, you know, in 1 year. It would just be designated, you know, I guess, extra money that I would have within a school year.
Okay, if you're asking for an additional 6,000, and then when you break everything down, it's more than 6,000. In my opinion, if you need the money, whatever the amount is, if you can give us a good amount. I know the awning is going to be taken off, but I don't want you to shortchange yourself.
Okay.
If you need the funding, give us some good figures as to how much more funding you would actually need. And that will help us, because if we just have a $6,000 number, that may not be enough for what you need.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning. I've given you a folder. In your folder on the right-hand side, there's a copy of our PowerPoint presentation if you want to take any notes. Behind that, you also have a packet, and it has the documentation that's going to support some of the things that we're requesting today. That's on the right-hand side. You won't need that during the presentation, but it's just for your information. On the left-hand side, I've provided some literature for you. There's one article about engineering, and then there's another section, and this is a section of children's literature that can go along and support some of the initiatives that we're going to ask for in our budget. So it's just for your information. We're not going to review that with you today. This morning, we would like to review our budget proposal for South Hill Elementary School. Let me begin by saying that we've also sought the input from our school leadership team and our school, and we feel very confident that the requests that we're making are needed to make our school the best for our students, for our staff, and for the community that we serve. We'd like to start our presentation this morning with a quote. We do a lot of quotes for our staff throughout the week, and so we felt that we would also like to share with you. And we feel that this quote was very appropriate for today. The budget is not just a collection of numbers, but an expression of our values and aspirations. And so today, the things that we are asking of you, and then to ask of the Board of Supervisors, is because of the things that we value at our school.
This is our mission statement for the county, our vision statement for the county: build a model 21st century learning organization that cultivates thoughtful, engaged citizens prepared to contribute to the prosperity of the county, Commonwealth, nation, and the world. We also have included our school statement. South Hill Elementary School believes that by fostering a positive learning environment, we empower everyone to achieve and succeed. Through teamwork, students and staff will be valued, supported, and challenged to reach their highest potential. By building a culture based on habits of the heart and mind, respect, effective communication, creativity, integrity, perseverance, everyone will make a recipe for success.
We have broken our budget into categories as they require different funding sources. We're going to begin with capital improvements. Over the last 4 years, we've had an average enrollment of 920 students, according to the electronic database, as opposed to the 750 students that were prior to the merger of two schools. Because of our increased enrollment, we are the largest school in the county and are requesting the following improvements to catch up with our growing school population and maintain our facility properly. First, for capital improvements, and I believe this is also on the maintenance budget as well, but we felt very inclined to put it in here. Our first request is for a car rider route, including an awning. We're requesting funds for a new car rider route. Our school is located on Plank Road, and then it connects to West Danville Street. This design has caused great traffic and safety concerns for the last 4 years. We average over 200 car riders daily, and our current lot, which was formerly a bus parking lot, is not safe for our children. Parents should follow the coned areas around the parking lot. However, they become very impatient, and they move the cones, and they cut through the cones, and they cause unsafe conditions for other vehicles and for our children. Despite our efforts to notify parents of procedures and safety concerns, we still experience safety problems every day. According to our consultant, the grade of paving in our current car rider lot, formerly a bus parking lot, is appropriate for bus traffic. I want you to think about this scenario just for a moment. It's 15 degrees outside. It's raining on a Monday afternoon. It's approaching time for dismissal, and our car riders are getting ready to exit the building. The cars are lined up all the way into Plank Road. Do you wonder how we're going to get those children out in the timeliest manner? We have one staff member who goes outside every day rain, shine, hot, cold, and she has to go car to take names on a clipboard so that then she can report back to the door so that we can call children in the timeliest manner. My question is, would you like to have that duty in my school? When children are dismissed from class at 3:25, they come out into one of two areas. On a clear day, they can come outside and line up on the sidewalk and be supervised by approximately 8 adults. It then takes an additional 7 adults to help load the cars. Names are called on a bullhorn and told where to stand to get the children to the appropriate vehicle. However, if it's raining, all the car riders have to stay in the hallway near our guidance office, and they have to be walked out 2 or 3 at a time because there's nowhere for them to stand and not get wet. This causes a huge problem in our building as we start calling for buses at 3:27 and the hallways are blocked by the car riders. Since the car rider lot is on the side of the school where there are classrooms, there's no space large enough to put them out of the way. Another safety issue that is driving this budget decision is the safety of the children who ride our buses. Currently, our buses are lined up nose to tail from the dumpsters all the way out to Plank Road. Due to this arrangement, each homeroom teacher has to physically walk to each and every bus with the students to ensure their safety. This lot, which is the teacher parking lot, which is also the handicap parking lot, which is also any visitor parking lot, is jeopardized in the mornings and in the afternoons because there's nowhere for anyone to go when we have our buses there. So what happens? They come in our parking lot anyway. They drive in, they park in non-parking places, they cut between our buses, all when we are trying to load and unload our children safely. This should not be happening. Again, we've made efforts to stop this, but we've not been successful because we do not have an alternative solution for where they can go. This lot was originally designed for staff parking and for car riders. Additionally, according to our consultant, the grade of paving in this lot is for car traffic. Since we're forced to put buses there, we are now seeing wear and tear in the form of potholes that now need to be filled in. I think we have a slide for that. Okay. Go ahead.
This is our current parking lot, and this is the bus side. And if you notice, the buses go all the way, they loop all the way around and back around to the front of our school. A bus is missing, which is why there's a big gap. But our handicap lot is right in the center of that. So our children that require cars, because we do have a multiple disabilities class, we also have an early childhood class, and those children are transported in a county car. Those cars park in the center of that lot. So every morning and every afternoon, they have to be escorted across in front of our buses. Also, our parents that need to come in, that need handicap parking access, are being asked to park in that lot as well and walk through our buses as we're loading and unloading every afternoon. This is a picture of our car rider lot, and you can see that this snakes down in front of our building, and it's a giant S that goes through all the way back to Plank Road. The top picture is from the road to the school, and the bottom picture is from the school back to the road. Our parents begin lining up for some reason at 1:45, and they fill that parking lot. So if we ever have a fire drill in the afternoon after 2 o'clock, we have to go out and stop traffic because they're already out there, and that's where we evacuate our students. The traffic also goes out onto Plank Road and backs up. I'm not sure how far it backs up, but it backs up, and we do have police presence that comes quite a bit because the traffic is so bad at the car rider area. And this is a picture of the biggest pothole that we have. This is where our buses actually turn to go out of our lot, and it's just 2 angles of it. This is according to our consultant, because the grade of asphalt in this parking lot is for cars and not for buses, the other lot is poured for buses. And if you look at that lot, you can see there's not any damage to that lot. It seems to be holding up well, but this lot is damaged considerably. And these are a couple other spots. The one on the left is an area that you can't tell from this picture, but the pavement is dipping down and it's starting to crack. And then the other one, there's this rut cut in, and you can see where it's becoming a big pothole there as well. And that's, you know, of course, in the middle of our staff lot and our visitor lot, and then our buses are traveling over that as well.
And Ms. Eisenhower alluded to this. Completing our required bus drills twice a year proves to be very challenging. We have to complete it in the mornings and solicit the bus shop to get us 6 extra buses. We have to move all the cones out of the car rider lot. After we've done car rider duty that morning, we have to move all the cones out of the way so then the buses can come in, line up accordingly so that we can complete the drill correctly. And then the other 6 buses come in on where the staff parks so that we can put the car riders over there and they can practice the drill safely. And then we have to remember, after the drill is all said and done, to go back out and put the cones back out, because believe me, we forgot one time and it was not pleasant. So, you know, and it robs a lot of instructional time taking up cones and putting cones back. Because of the size of our school, each grade level when we have programs and things, during the days or the evenings, we are required to move those cones. The process is time-consuming. It offers few choices as to when we can even have events. For example, if we want to host something in the afternoon, we have to make sure that the event is over by 1:45 because we have parents that arrive and sit in our car lot and wait for dismissal. I don't know if you've ever been to one of our expos or driven by. Our parking lots are full. They fill over into the grass and even park over at Hardy Ford. And it becomes quite an issue. For these reasons, we have solicited the assistance of 2 local businesses to determine the cost associated with our campus improvements, to reroute our car riders and return our buses back to the original location. And we have a couple of slides for that.
This first slide is the photo of our proposed car rider lot. And if you look at the bottom of it, you can see the current car rider lot. That is only 1,300 feet of space, where the proposed lot is 1,400 feet of space. So that will get some of that traffic off of Plank Road. We'd also have the cars go around the front of the school and then circle in the back and pick up at the X. And
Go
this,
back a minute.
I'm sorry.
Just go back a minute.
Yes, can you go back?
Orientate, where is Plank Road?
Plank Road is down at the bottom. It's the one that curves up towards the school.
Okay.
This right here. This is
So that's Plank Road, and then
here's like
West Danville, which is also the 58 and number 1 and all of those
So
things.
how are your cars going to get to the back? Are they still coming?
They're going to come in off of Plank Road, and then they're going to circle around the front of our staff parking lot, which is safer because we don't have,
Yeah, I understand.
and then they'll circle around. And then they'll come back out straight out.
We have a bid for what the consultant will do. We'll come out and make like a cul-de-sac area,
All right,
and they'll circle around, and then they'll come back out.
that direction. Okay,
Yes.
where are your buses?
They're going to be
And,
moved back.
The bus is back over here where you can see we can line them back up.
Okay.
Now, originally, they were supposed to drop them off at the front of the school, the park before. Is that how they did it before?
They did, but when the schools were merged 2 years ago, it ended up being double parked.
But before that, this was the original plan for the drop.
Yes.
Right, but
And now you're gonna add to go to the back.
right, because the original lot is not big enough. We were doubling up students. The next slide is some pricing that we got, and this is from one business that we contacted. We have the names of some others to contact as well if we need to, but he came in, and these are some of the prices. This does not include engineering, surveyor, layout, permits, and you can see the adjustment of storm drain structures. We also would have to move one of our storage pods, and we did get a price to move that, and that was $225. So these are, like I said, the prices from one company to change our parking lot area. We'll also be requesting an awning for the car riders to stand under. This is an example of what the awning would look like. It would come down the back sidewalk to the area where they would be picked up so they could wait outside instead of being jammed in the hallway in the building like they currently are. We did get a price from Lake Gaston Awning, and a canopy, walkway canopy would be $7,800.
Okay, the next, are there any questions about the parking before I move on?
Yes, on your, okay, the total for that is 42,300?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And again, that doesn't include permits and things like that.
Okay.
That's just to actually do the demolition and pave and get it put in.
Is that going to be on the presentation from Ms. Tuck as well?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes. Any other questions? Thank you. Okay, the next item that we are requesting under capital improvement is for playground equipment. We currently have 2 blacktops with have 2 basketball goals on one. We have 1 playground that serves our pre-K through 2 population, and we have 1 playground that serves 3 through 5, and we have 1 set of 6 swings. To some of you, that may sound very sufficient, but please keep in mind that in our school, 1 grade consists of 6 homerooms, with the exception of pre-K, there are only 4, and 5th grade has 7. So that's not a lot of equipment for a whole lot of children. Our schedule does allow for only certain groups to be out there at any given time, but it's still not adequate for our numbers.
And these are pictures of our current playground. You can see the blacktop picture. The 2 pictures are actually the same blacktop. They have 2 basketball goals. The other blacktop is just a blacktop. It doesn't have anything. And then our 1 set of swings. And there's a quote here from Fred Rogers: "Play is often talked about as if it were a relief from serious learning, but for children, play is serious learning. Play is really the work of childhood." And that's one of the things that we try to keep in mind. We know our children need time to get out and cut up and let loose sometimes. They can't just sit all day long. And then the next is pictures of what we currently have. The top 2 are what we have available for our pre-K through 2nd grade, and the bottom 2 pictures are what we have available for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. And that's it. And the third slide, this is an aerial view of our playground, and you can see the swings, and then the older kids' playground, and then the blacktops are in the middle, and then the younger kids' playground is at the end. And there are 2 little ball toss things outside of the fence. I don't even know what they're called. They throw the ball in. They have numbers on them. But that's it. That's all the equipment we have for almost 900 students. And to schedule that and to get them out and have them safe and not have 6 classes piled up on 1 playground is quite a task. And we do have things that some days the teachers just can't take their kids out because it's so much going on the playground. You know, nice days they want to get out and run and they don't have anywhere to go. And these are some pictures that we've been in contact with the company about some new equipment. So these are just some pictures of the new equipment that we were looking at that we're really interested in purchasing. And this is also a 3D picture of that. The features of this playground, it's a Duramax structure. It's for ages 5 through 12, which would serve almost all of our population. Has climbing areas, slides, ladders, among other features, and it is wheelchair accessible. And like I said earlier, we have the multiple disabilities class, and we also have the early childhood class, and we have several students that are in wheelchairs and need access to that. The estimated cost of that is listed here at $38,835, but it does not include shipping of the playground equipment, fencing, timber, and mulch. And I believe mulch may be in the maintenance contract, so that may be included in that as well.
Where would you put this one? I see on each end. Where would this area go?
We've talked about it, and we would put it closer to the 3rd through 5th grade end this first time. And again, like Mr. Camden, we would then ask in the future to get some extra equipment for the other end, and we would just have to schedule times for them to go out and use it. Any questions about the playground needs? I have been in contact about the shipping. The lady and I have been playing email tag, and they've changed their pricings, and she's not been able to give me a quote on the shipping. That's why we could not include that today. We're going to move on with our second request. It's for technology. At the end of last school year, we as building leaders were challenged to determine the best way to enhance our curriculum. And because of the magnitude of what involves to do the arts program and the size of our enrollment at our current facility, we, along with our school leadership team, have opted to do a STEM focus for our curriculum, and we believe that that is fiscally responsible for us to ask for. It is a reasonable request that we are asking of the board. Our first request is a personnel request. We would like to ask for 2 full-time teachers to provide STEM-based instruction with a focus on technology and including engineering. Currently, we have 2 computer labs that are supervised by paraprofessionals. These computer labs, however, do not focus on learning 21st century skills, but they are utilized more for instructional reading and math with programs that we use with iReady and various programs that we have in our building. After looking at our whole child, we've realized that our students do not have the opportunity to be exposed to a technology-rich curriculum, and we would like to incorporate that, and then so that they can take those skills back into their classrooms to supplement their projects and their other classroom activities.
This is a quote that we found from Tony Wagner. It says, in the 21st century, mastery of the basic skills of reading, writing, and math is no longer enough. Increasingly, almost any job that pays more than minimum wage today, both blue and white collar, requires employees who know how to solve a range of intellectual and technical problems. In addition, we face an exponential increase of readily available information, new technologies that are constantly changing, and more complex societal challenges such as global warming. Thus, work, learning, and citizenship in the 21st century demand that we all know how to think, to reason, analyze, weigh evidence, problem solve. These are no longer skills that only the elites in a society must master. They are essential survival skills for all of us.
By establishing 2 new technology centers, we'll be able to immerse our students in technology during the school day and use it as an extension into our after-school program as well. Learning general computer applications, Lego programs, circuit programs, videography are just a few examples of things that we would like for our children to be exposed. In your packet, behind the PowerPoint presentation, that whole side were things that we are going to ask for as far as Legos and circuits and robotics and so forth, and those are the examples that have been provided for you. We would like to ask for 30 desktop computers with tables and chairs. In order to provide the 21st century skills and technology-rich curriculum that we want to implement, we need desktop computers to be divided between 2 classrooms. So 15 would be in one room, 15 would be in another. We originally had a higher number for that, but we realized we needed some open floor space so the kids could get out in the middle and create and make their roller coasters and all that fun stuff. So we scaled back to 30 so that they would have 15 and 15, and some kids would work on computers while other kids would actually be in the floor working on building things. Children use these computers to learn basic computer skills. They would use Microsoft programs, Excel, PowerPoint. We would like to teach them how to do Animoto videos, and they would also be able to do their research there for projects that they're doing in their classrooms. There's really no limit as to what the children could learn because every child's going to walk into that classroom with a different experience and they're going to leave with it with what they choose to discover. So it's just endless what can happen in this classroom. We are asking for engineering products for our children. Our budget includes products for our students to explore Lego building, robotics, circuits, and we also have free curriculums that we have found that will go along with these that will correlate with the products. So, you know, free is always good. Our children are hands-on learners, and these products have been used. They have been research-based, and they've been studied, and so we've chosen ones that we believe will be able to start, and there will be no learning curve. The learning curve has already taken place in other schools. So we have researched those and chosen the ones that we think are the most appropriate for our children. Products are essential to higher level thinking and will have a huge asset on our technology classes. These products on our list cross all grade levels. So it's not like we have to buy specific ones for kindergarten or first grade or second grade. It's, you put them in there and they just go, and they build according to their own discovery. And we thought that by doing that, it was very fiscally responsible instead of having to buy different ones for different grade levels. The next thing is allocation for the technology teachers. We're asking that those 2 teachers be afforded $5,000 to split to buy other things that they need in their classroom. I can't begin to stand here today and tell you what they're going to need. It's going to be based on what the children come in and want to be exposed to. So I'm asking for $5,000 for those 2 teachers to buy supplemental supplies for that classroom. We're also asking for iPads for our K-2 population. The ratio of iPads to children needs increasing as our population has changed since they were issued several years ago. Our children use iPads in guided reading stations, guided math stations, iReady lessons, just to name a few. If we have additional iPads, children would not be limited to using just during station times. I do believe that the school division is going to request a program for ST Math. If that, in fact, is purchased, we could also use our iPads for the ST Math. Our children thrive off of technology and the virtual world that is right at their fingertips, and we need to keep up with the ever-changing technology needs for our K-2 children. We are not requesting anything for 3 through 5. I've spoken with the director of technology, and we feel like that we're going to be, our equipment for those grades are going to be refreshed sooner than later. So we felt confident that that was okay.
And just to clarify, we're asking for 2 full-time teachers that are going to be certified teachers, not parapros like we currently have, to teach the STEM program. And like Ms. Height said, we found some curriculums, and we hope that they will be able to look at the curriculum material and align it with our standards of learning and come up with the best program for the students. We're also asking for the desktop computers, the tables and chairs to support that. Engineering products, which you have some examples of, including Lego WeDo software, VexIQ, and Elco Snap circuits, and those things are accessible to students in all grade levels. We're also looking at several STEM-based curriculums, and there are some listed there, and those are free resources. And then the allocation for the teaching supplies to buy the reusable items, but also to buy the consumable items. And we are also requesting the iPads for K-2 to be used to enhance the programs that we already have or any programs that we may get, and the 100 iPads would be $50,000.
I have a question.
Okay.
These 2 full-time teachers, they're only for STEM, technology. My little granddaughter is 4 years old, and she operates an iPad better than I do. Mm-hmm. She can download everything that doesn't have a password on it. To me, if you're going to hire 2 teachers, I would look at the reading. She doesn't read, but she knows how to work technology. To my point is that the reading and math teachers would be more important than STEM teachers for these early grades.
Well, we're hoping that what they're doing in these classrooms with the STEM, they would be able to take a lot of these skills and go back and use them to help research and do things in their reading class, and their math classes, and their science classes, and their social studies classes. So we feel like that some of our children in our school are missing the opportunity of technology.
They have better phones than I do.
Some may, not all.
But the teachers you're talking about,
Yes, sir.
they can help out with, they're certified teachers. They can
Yes.
help out with the reading and the math through
Yes,
STEM
sir.
because of the
Yes.
technology piece there.
Right.
Okay.
And I think we talked about that they wouldn't just be doing just this engineering and technology, but they're going to be working with PowerPoint and Word and Excel. So the things that they would be doing in those lessons would be based on general curriculum for reading and math and science and social studies. And they would be helping children with research for a Virginia Studies project or a science project, or typing an essay for their, we do writing prompts every month. They would be helping with things like that as well.
And I want to say I applaud you for bringing all of this together. The conference that we just attended in Richmond, the governor highlighted how important STEM programs through K through 12 are, that he's even putting funding towards it. So thank you for bringing this to us, and I hope we can be able to fund all of this.
I will tell you, we, as administrators, Ms. Eisenhower, Ms. Witt, and myself, we had a whole different agenda of what we thought would be the direction that we went. And when we sat down with our school leadership team, this is what came out loud and clear. And they were very passionate about the needs of our children, and who knows better than our teachers. And so we listened, and we sat down, and we did our homework, and then we all sat down together. And so this is not just us standing here presenting. This is our whole school, and we stand behind what we're asking for.
And just to clarify, STEM is not just about science, technology.
No.
It's integrated. Everything's
Yes.
integrated into it, because you have to have all of those basic skills as well.
Right.
So
And-
it will all be an integrated
Right.
program.
And because our computer labs now are used for reading instruction and math instruction with our paraprofessionals, we've gotten away from our children learning how to do basic keyboarding, basic Word documents, basic saving documents. We've gotten away from that, and we want that to be one of the focuses of these classrooms, along with the technology and the robotics, and it just has to be a culmination of it all, and we need to put it together. And we think that certified staff is the way to go, because they will also understand the common Virginia standards, and they understand writing curriculum, they understand the importance of aligning curriculum, unpacking the SOLs. And I have a hard time asking for a paraprofessional to fill this role because it's just going to be so deep in curriculum. And I just think certified staff members have that background knowledge through their educational coursework. That's why we need that. I know it's a cost difference, but it's a necessary cost. Okay. The last thing that we are asking is for our instructional allocation funding. We're requesting a minimum of $44,000 in instructional money for this upcoming school year. We currently receive $36,000, and I added $8,000 to that because we also are doing some after-school things this year, and we want to increase that even more next year, and thus the increase in our allocation. This only equates to $56 a child. So I did not think that it was too much to ask for $56 for the children in my building for an entire school year. We use these funds for our teachers to purchase needed supplies and consumable materials. Allocation money is used to fund activities like Accelerated Reader, the Science Fair, field trips, Citizen Cinema, Habits Luncheons, assemblies, expos, art, music, library, you name it, it comes out of our instructional allocation, even our general office supplies. We are very frugal, but we do need an increase in our instructional money. Our school has always been very fiscally responsible and has put the needs of our students first when spending our allocation money. Any questions on our allocation request? Okay. Lastly, we are asking that no personnel cuts be made to our staff. Over the last 4 years, we have lost 4 core teachers, a Title I teacher, a reading specialist, an RTI position, a multi-disabilities special education teacher, a music teacher, and 10 instructional assistants. Loss of any staff directly impacts our learning environment and compromises services that we can offer our children. Now more than ever, we need to maintain what we have so that we can meet the needs of our student population. In conclusion, we have made these requests of you for funding for our school. We realize that you have a large task at hand to prioritize everyone's needs. Our budget isn't honest in that we discuss with you our challenges. It's creative because we've kind of offered some expansion to our new curriculum for the 21st century, And it's compassionate as that we are focused on what's best for our children, for our staff, and for our community. And we're going to leave you today with one final quote.
It says, "The object of education is to prepare the young to educate themselves throughout their lives." And we hope that the requests that we've made in our budget will help our children be able to educate themselves.
And I was looking at your paperwork here. You mentioned how many core teachers you had lost over the past summer.
Yes.
Is that included in this?
In yours, no. That's in our notes.
That's in our notes.
And how many core teachers have you lost?
We've lost 4 core teachers.
That was during the budget cuts a couple of years ago, right?
That's over
We
the
lost
past
2
4
last year.
years.
Yeah,
And we had to address.
Yes.
The last 4 years, right.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Morning.
Morning.
I took out a number of slides because some of them are going to be duplicated in Ms. Tuck's presentation. But like South Hill and La Crosse, and I'm sure Clarksville, I sat down with my school leadership team and discussed the needs that we had as a school and looking ahead to the next school year. My first request is under staffing and personnel. I'm requesting 2 teaching positions. Right now, we have only 2 title teachers, and I'm asking for one of those positions to be someone that can remediate with math. As you all know, we are in warning because of math, and we think that having someone there full-time that can help with remediation just for math can help us out tremendously. The other one, the request, we currently only have 3 first-grade teachers on staff, but we have 4 kindergarten homerooms now, and we just got 2 kindergartners today. They are at the max according to the statewide free and reduced level. Each homeroom is now at 20. So we need somebody in first grade to take up that extra homeroom. Our reasoning behind that, statistics show that students assigned to smaller classes in K-3 do better in every way they can be measured, including tests, everyday grades, and exhibit improved attendance. And class reduction reduces the achievement gap. Gains from class size reduction in the early grades continue for students in the upper grades. Students are less likely to be retained, more likely to stay in school, and more likely to earn better grades. And this is not new to you all, but at 75%, Chase City has the highest free and reduced rate in the division. So 3 out of every 4 children coming through our doors have some kind of struggle, whether it be economic, one-parent households, grandparents raising the children. And this 75% may even actually go higher as we look at our current pre-K students and what we have in Head Start, what we have in other community daycares. So that number may actually go up next school year. For instruction, I'm asking for a $7,000 increase over what we were funded this year. And the focus for that is our teachers have researched, and we've had this program before, the Oxford Sadler Vocabulary Program for word study in grades 1 through 5, and to continue to build our music program by purchasing additional instruments and maintaining our current inventory. This slide is not new to y'all, but I wanted to include it anyway, and it shows what happens when a student is read to 20 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, and 1 minute a day. Going with our current free and reduced rate, we can't take for granted that our students are being read to 20 minutes a day. We can't take for granted that we have someone at home that can help them build their vocabulary. So the purpose of buying those Oxford Sadler vocabulary workbooks is to get those students immersed in a rich vocabulary as a part of our word study and whole language instruction. I added this slide because we have been very pleased with our music integration But we also have our smaller students that are sharing instruments, because when we ordered the instruments last year, we kind of tried to look at what our students look like as far as size, but we had a whole bunch of kindergartners that are smaller than the average kindergarten. So we need more smaller instruments, because right now our kindergarten students have to share the violins. So we're asking for additional funding to increase our current inventory, and also to replace bows and strings and rosin and all that other stuff that needs to be replaced yearly. As far as capital improvements, I think I took out everything that Ms. Tuck is going to go over again. However, I did include these $35,000 overall for capital improvements. That's to paint new lines and reapply coating to the gym floor, replace aging playground equipment, and build a new blacktop. This picture here is our gym floor after 2 years of use. You can see that our kids really are using it. However, we found out when they installed the paint lines and the coating, they did a different technique that they did at the other 2 elementary schools. What they did at Chase City was applied one layer of coating, then painted the lines, and then applied another layer of coating. And we were told that this was going to be better than the other schools, and it was going to last longer than the other 2 schools. But you can see this is the best. It's way worse when you look at the whole gym overall. And this picture here, in the foreground, you see a piece of our playground equipment that's damaged. And actually, we have yellow tape around it to make sure that the kids don't go there, because that's an injury problem. If you look off to the right of the picture, you see those swings. Those swings, parts of it was there when I was a student at Chase City. And that was a long time ago. So we are asking for some of those things to be upgraded. You see our gym in the back that's 100 feet by 60 feet, but it's sitting where our blacktop used to be. And we're asking for another blacktop to be built, because when it's muddy, the teachers can do some blacktop activities just to get the kids moving. Also, right now, the kids are playing basketball in mud and in dirt, and if it's a spirited game, it's not the pleasant of sights when they come back into the building. And that's all I have. I kept it short, so now I'll take your questions.
One thing you didn't mention was the parking situation. You have an accident waiting to happen in the afternoons. I don't know about mornings, but with the cars out on 47.
Right, that's in Ms. Tuck's part.
Oh, okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
After listening to the presentation from South Hill Elementary with the STEM-based applications, I can see how every elementary school can benefit with STEM. I do understand with the music program that you have, the kids are enjoying it. And I also saw from Mr. Camden that with the music program or any program, it's going to be additional cost every year. And also Camden had included that. Are you also going to look towards a STEM-type platform? Is that something that you and your staff have talked about, or?
We hadn't talked about STEM. I think whether it's STEM or arts integration is all trying to find a vehicle to teach students at a deeper level. What we have been working on is trying to build in the arts. We have, in science class, we use Jackson Pollock to study force and motion. We are in our Native American unit, the students have learned how rhythm and beats apply to the Indian traditions. So, I know there's a need for, technology and all that stuff, but we feel like the arts integration was better suited for our students.
Okay. And part of what you asked for was the replacement of the blacktop, because where your gym is currently at, that was the old blacktop.
Right.
Have you decided that, well, nothing, that's it. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Are you driving or am I driving? I'm going to drive.
Okay. Good morning, Dr. Thornton, Chairman Tanner, school board members. Thank you for the opportunity this morning to speak with you about the budget priorities for Clarksville Elementary School. I want to begin with our vision. Maybe I will. I did. Oh, okay. All right. I want to begin with our vision and mission statements. I won't go over it in detail as you've heard it from others, but just want to remind all of us that we say in our vision and our mission statement that we foster a culture of excellence with where proud and passionate students become the craftsmen of quality, beautiful work. And so this is the time, a budget time, where we actually put our words out there and really decide whether we really mean that or not. I want to briefly outline the budget concerns and priorities that we have at Clarksville Elementary. Okay. This is just some of them listed. Some of them, as you heard, are going to be taken out, and you'll hear Heather talk about some of them as well in the maintenance part. Redesigning and remodeling our cafeteria. I'll be showing you some pictures of that. Parking lot lighting, instructional allocations, an additional teacher for mediation and intervention, some take-home readers, document cameras, piano keyboards, violins, 2 integrated arts teachers, and a pottery wheel and a kiln. I'll begin with the first part, capital improvements, redesigning our cafeteria. The tables currently in place at Clarksville Elementary are outdated. You can see there in the picture that there's broken stools there. In fact, we had a PTA bingo night this past Friday night, and you know, parents, community members were there, and some of the chairs were broken. These types of chairs and tables and stools are outdated. We have been using some of the stools that were left over when Buckhorn closed. There were some tables there that we were able to take those stools off, but we're getting to the end of those now. We want to create a more pleasant and realistic dining experience for our teachers and students and parents. So that is the purpose of asking for money to start on a remodel.
Excuse me, you said in the very first slide? The 2 integrated arts teachers, is that going to be music teachers? I see pianos and violins there.
Yes, and I'm going to talk about that. This is just sort of an overview, and then
Okay.
I'm going to get to that. The next one is, it's a critical need for us. It's lighting. I know at the last school board meeting you heard that there was additional lighting added at Clarksville Elementary School. That was at the parking lot area at the front of the building. What we are requesting here is lighting to the gymnasium. You can see this is the area from the gymnasium out to the parking lot. Our gymnasium this year is used every day of the week. Ramp uses it, and now we also have the YMCA using it. So somebody is using our gym at all times, and it's till 8:30 at night that the YMCA is using it as well. So those that are using our gym currently are having to walk in the dark from the parking lot area out to the gym and back and forth. As part of our K-2 initiative, as you know, we are trying to get every child having numeracy and literacy skills on grade level by the time they get to 3rd grade. We are requesting grade level readers, take-home readers for our students. As you heard Mr. Taylor just mention about the importance of students reading. That is how we build the vocabulary. Our data shows at Clarksville Elementary School that vocabulary is an area of weakness. And so we want to get them into good literature. We have literature in our libraries that they use, but we also want to provide take-home books. And these would be books that they would bring back and forth. They would not be leaving them at home. And so multiple grade levels will be able to use them as well to practice their reading skills. Again, as part of our K-2 reading initiative and math initiative, we're asking for an additional teacher to provide reading and math interventions so that all students by the end of 2nd grade have mastered reading and numeracy skills. That's at an approximate cost of $51,000. We have found small group intervention is where we're getting our biggest bang for our buck of students that are behind. They need above and beyond what we give them in the regular classroom. We're also requesting document cameras in all of our math classrooms to allow teachers and students to easily show their work and their strategies. As part of the more rigorous SOLs in math, we're having students get up and explain their thinking, explain their reasoning. Tell me how you got this answer. That helps the other students in the class to solve problems. It also helps the teacher to be able to see inside the child's head for what they're thinking and correct any misconceptions that they might have. That's an approximate cost of $1,000. We already have some, we're just asking for additional ones. Our data shows that the achievement gap at Clarksville Elementary School of our minority students is an area that we need to focus on, and we are continuing to focus on. One reason for this gap, we feel, is because we're not engaging students. As part of the focus school strategies that they're giving us, they're asking us to look at engagement of students. Many students today don't see the relevance of the learning, and we believe the way to close this gap is to incorporate an integrated arts program. We surveyed our parents. We sent out 456 surveys, and 297 surveys were returned to us. Many of those surveys, of course, represent, there's multiple children at our school for that one survey. The results that came back to us were basically split. We had 33% that wanted an integrated arts program, 36% that wanted a STEM program. So it was about a difference of about 10 students, the surveys. The research shows that, of course, gap group students, minority students, respond positively and are engaged in arts in all various forms, such as piano, violins, visual arts, and movement. I want to make that very clear. We're not just talking about violins and just talking about keyboards. We're also talking about movement. We're also talking about the visual arts. It could be, creating something on the computer. So it's art in a lot of different areas, not just those two. We currently, of course, have a music teacher. We would be requesting 2 additional music teachers so that all students could have 30 minutes of violin and 30 minutes of piano each day.
Ms.
Sure.
Dalton, you mentioned that the surveys came back 33% arts, 36% STEM. So the majority is for STEM.
It was by about 10 surveys more. The reason that I chose the integrated arts was we already have the keyboards, some keyboards in place as part of our after-school program. We already have a music teacher, so it would be, some of the pieces are already in place to help us with that, where with STEM, we would be really sort of starting from ground zero. I'm not opposed to STEM. I could support either program. I think either one of them, the purpose of either of the programs is to get our students more engaged.
You also mentioned minority engagement. What does that mean?
The research that I have read is that, and it's not all students, not all minority students may be interested in the arts, but their learning styles may perhaps be more related to the arts or related to being able to get movement more. In the classroom, we have children sitting in rows all the time. STEM, same thing. I think anything that's different above and beyond the sitting in a row, having a workbook or a worksheet is going to engage all students, minority students as well as any student.
Right, because you seem to base your decision on the minority element, yet the decision shouldn't be based on any one group, it should be based on the totality.
Sure.
So
Go ahead.
the percentages you got back of 33 for arts and 36 for STEM, was that based on a minority response or the totality of the response?
Totality. Because good teaching is good teaching. Good instruction is good instruction for any child, no matter of their ethnicity that they have. And we have students that are disengaged in all ethnic groups. But our scores, when we disaggregate our scores, as far as being a focus school right now, we are because of our minority students in math. So we're looking for strategies to try to help our students in that particular gap group.
And it's shown that, I guess, minority students respond better to interactive type movement like music?
Yes. Like I said, any kind of movement and being involved, not just sitting in front of a teacher and the teacher talking to them. And that's any student. I don't say that's just minority students.
Ms. Dalton, did you also include your teacher input in your decision based to do the arts integration?
I did. The teachers were really split as far as arts and STEM. I also gave other suggestions. On the survey, we also put foreign language. We also put a blank where they could input their own of what they want as well. And we also put if they didn't want any at all.
So your decision's based on what you already have in place. The say that it wasn't it's cost effective?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And we saw the positive response that students and teachers and the community had at La Crosse and at Chase City with their program as well.
Okay, and one more thing, you
Sure.
showed the results from the parents, the survey. Was there a teacher survey?
There was. I don't have those numbers in front of me. The teacher survey was not as strong as the parent survey. The teacher survey was more, there were a few that wanted STEM, there were a few that wanted arts integration. I would say with the teachers, the majority was that they did not want to add another program at this time.
So
They
was-
were concerned about the extended day. That was one of their concerns that they gave. Of course, the day would be longer, and those that teach ramp would be there even longer during the day. That was one of the concerns that they had.
Isn't there going to be an extended day with the music as well?
There would be. We looked at, that's what I was saying, the teachers were the ones who didn't want any kind of program added on right now. That was what their concern was.
So you had a group that didn't want to do any other program.
Correct.
But then you had a group that answered the question, arts or STEM, but you don't have that, which way they weighed the people that
Are you talking
did.
about the teachers or the
The
parents?
teachers.
The teachers, I don't know the numbers right off the top of my head, but I would say it was probably maybe 10% arts integration, 10% STEM. It was even with them as well. Any other questions about that before we go on? As part of our after-school ramp program, we, like I said, have some keyboards already in place. We already have tables. We already have some chairs. We would need to purchase the violins. We do not have that part of it at this time. The after-school program, the students have been very engaged with the keyboards. They've really enjoyed that. And I want to, of course, emphasize that it's not just go and have a lesson on violin or a lesson on piano. It's integrating that through the reading and the math all day long so that they see there's a reason to learn reading and math and science and social studies.
All right, would this program be eliminated if you add the music program during the day?
No. No, just as there's an after-school program at Chase City and La Crosse right now, there would still be at Clarksville as well. Because that's a separate 21st Century grant.
I was going to say, that's provided that you get the grant again.
That's right. Right. Again, wanted to emphasize that it's not just piano and violin that we're looking at. We're looking at all the arts. We're requesting a pottery wheel to provide opportunities for three-dimensional hands-on artwork. Right now, they are doing some artwork with hands-on, but they don't have the wheel. They just have to do it with clay. And then asking for a clay firing kiln to provide opportunities for the same artwork. Right now, our art teacher's having to pack up all their artwork, carry it over to the middle school, fire it, bring it back. They glaze it. She carries it back over and fires it again, and then comes back. So she's having to do a lot back and forth with a whole lot of pottery. She uses that. I won't take time. I had some notes here of the benefits of an integrated arts program for all students. But I know you've seen emails that have come out. Dr. Thornton has sent out some information. We've sent out information to our parents as well about that, that it does benefit all students. I want to thank you now for your support in the past. You have difficult decisions ahead of you. Budget time is never an easy time, but I thank you for taking the time out of your schedules today to listen to us and to our request. Any other questions that you have for me? Thank you.
All right. Mine is real quick, real brief. It's 5 slides because I'm pretty much to the point, and I'm going to figure out how to use this. There we go. I really focused on instruction. Instruction and student safety. Those are the two most important things to me. So you're going to see a bit of a human element in this. I'm asking for 2 additional core teachers per grade level. That's 6 total. It'd be about $306,000 when you consider salaries and benefits and everything. 1 additional elective teacher. And the rationale behind my core teachers is right now we have 28 to 31 students per classroom. And if you come in and look in any classroom, you're going to see build from one wall to the other. And we want to really focus on that reading and writing. I have 2 teachers per grade level right now in math, so I'm comfortable with that, but it's the reading and writing where I think we really need to improve that student-teacher ratio. And the next slide I show you will have some evidence to support smaller class size. Here's the bottom part of this is number of positions since 2010. We've lost 20 positions since 2010 in the school. Those aren't all core, they aren't all elective, whatever, but that's how many teaching positions I've lost. And obviously, I wasn't there for that whole time, but you can see a bit of a trend when you get to 2011-12. Our scores dropped significantly, and the school lost 8 teachers in that gap too. So I don't know what those positions were. That was prior to me coming in, but you lose 8 teachers and you drop to 47% in math. So, you know, I don't know if that's it, but that may be a little bit of something to look at. So adding those 6 positions back would still mean we were 14 positions lower than we were in 9-10, but I think we could make some significant gains with our students with smaller classes. And here's what the research says. I did some research on it. I looked at it, and the first article I read said there's nothing definitive that says one way or the other, except that when you take smaller class size and do it strategically and implement it correctly, then you see gains in student success rates. So it's not just putting 15 kids with one teacher. It's looking at how did you make the decision which 15 kids were going to be in a small class size. How do you make the decision about which teacher will have that smaller class size? Is it based on their general needs as a population? You know, your lower performing students benefit from that more human element. The more years spent in reduced classes, the longer lasting the benefits. And that was a Tennessee Project STAR report that I read. And that starts the whole way back to pre-K. But they're saying if you extend that up through 7th grade, you see significant benefits even later in high school for those same students that had that smaller class size. And then, you know, we have 27 to 31 students in a class. I'd be hard pressed to take you to a classroom where there's only 27 students in it. And then the studies that I have also say that minority and low-income students show significant gains when placed in smaller classes because they need that more human element. A lot of our students, not just minority, not just low income, but all of our students are going home to homes without an adult there. So that adult human contact, that ability to build relationships with teachers in the classroom is improved if there's fewer students in there with the teacher as opposed to a larger number. Any questions about that before I go on? And then the request for allocation. Right now I get $21,000 a year. That's our current allocation. I have 34 teachers plus a guidance counselor and a librarian. So that would equal about $583.33 per person. I'm requesting an additional $39,840. And you can see the numbers there. And that's in order to support the learning and be able to get the materials that the teachers need. You know, they're going to come to me and they're going to say, I really need this. And then my next question is, how are you really going to use that? How is it really going to benefit us? So we go through that and we make those tough decisions. But it would be hard pressed for anyone to survive on $583 a year. That additional allocation I've looked into, and I do have prices for all this. You don't have it today. But I'm looking for curricular assessment resources and support with our data disaggregation, with our instruction in the classroom, and having assessment resources that are meaningful for our students. Calculators and headphones for math. We also need the headphones for the iReady program. So they would be multi-functional. Support materials for social studies and writing. They want, for social studies, the Virginia Experience is a consumable, but it's a student book that they use and they can write in and they can interact with. And so that would be the resource for the social studies piece. The writing teachers need some SOL coaches. And that would be really beneficial for them. Magazine subscriptions for science and social studies. And when they brought this to me, it was because they want to integrate reading across the content. You know, they can read these nonfiction articles in science. It will also improve for the reading because nonfiction is a part of our reading program. And then, of course, in social studies, it will not only reinforce the content, but also encourage more reading among the kids. novels and ebooks for the reading classes. You know, we have novels, but getting more and getting some that maybe are, you know, kids don't always want to read the classics, and we want to get them excited and passionate about what they're reading. We need to find things that are exciting and passionate for them to pick up, to touch, to interact with, and learn. It's just like a teacher. If you're not passionate about what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it. So it's that same thing. We can't expect passion from kids if we don't put it into them. CTE needs consumable material, and Carl Perkins does not allow for consumables, so we need to have some money for those teachers to be able to get consumable supplies for their program. Tables for the cafeteria and the classroom, and I need folding chairs for the gym. Our folding chairs in our gym, whenever we have an assembly or a program, they're pretty hideous. And you know, I've got all the prices on that, and I've worked on all of that. In the cafeteria, we're looking to kind of redesign it a little bit, break up those long rows of tables, because kids sit at long rows of tables. It never fails. There's going to be someone at the far end of the table that they want to talk to, and they're not going to get up and go walk to them. They're going to yell down at the table to them. So it would help make a more intimate setting and a more enjoyable experience in the cafeteria. And then, of course, technology needs. Some of these things are provided by the technology department, but some of them, you know, if they run out of funds or whatever, we need to be able to get those as well. This includes several things. This is, you know, the basic things. You know, we need to replace a keypad on a computer, or you know, we may need to get some Promethean pens or light bulbs, or even getting some iPads for class, or even the e-readers for the e-books that we would like to get. So that kind of is all encompassing. And I can get you a breakdown of that if you want to see it. I have it on my computer in my office. The capital improvement needs, gym floor. You don't see an amount there. I just got that this morning. It depends on what kind of a surface you would resurface it with. It's about $65,000 to $100,000 depending on what you put down. A floor about our size would be right around $75,000 or $80,000 probably. That's not a wood floor, but if you walk out on our gym floor, the tiles shift. There's dead spots in it. There's holes wearing through now, and it's time for us to look at replacing that for a lot of reasons. Aesthetics, of course, but more importantly, eventually it's going to become a safety issue and safety hazard. Our lockers are heinous, and the question might come up, what about your locker fund? There is no fund that I have that even not every child rents a locker. I mean, you know, we have kids that don't, and why don't they? It may be a funding issue. We will lend out a locker if a kid doesn't have it, but those are three different prices. The $12,960, that's just to do repairs. The $25,200, that is to do repairs and paint just the exterior. The $35,800 is to paint interior, exterior, and do repairs. The asterisk amounts there, that's if you did it from November 30th through March 1st, or is it November 1 through March 30th, my bad, because that's kind of their dead time. So they're looking for business during that time, so you actually get a decreased price during that time. And it's a weekend job. When the people came up and looked at it, they said we can come in on a Friday evening, tape it up Saturday, do all the painting, open up the doors on Sunday, and it'll be aired out and ready to go on Monday. So basically the kids would take their stuff home with them on Friday, Monday bring it back and stick it back in their lockers. Backstop and fencing at the baseball field, huge safety issue. We've got holes. It's the metal posts that are holding the backstop in place are starting to rust and break off, which if a student ran into that could present a safety hazard. We have two prices. This is the lower of the two that I have right now. There's the $4,100. The other price was $7,100. And then, of course, I have the faculty parking lot on there, and I think that's going to come up in Ms. Tuck's presentation. There were some other things, like our office flooring needs to be replaced, but I think all of that will be in hers. Any questions?
Going back to the beginning, you said you needed 2 additional core teachers for each grade, or
Yes.
so that's 6 teachers. You said they were going to be for reading and writing. Do you have space for those?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you have space in the room. And what is the additional elective teacher?
At first, I was thinking about the music piece because we do have the violins and the keyboards. I'm also looking at, I'm really starting to get interested in the STEM focus for our school. I'm looking at, we have a business teacher that left, and we're working with a long-term sub right now, but that's to give me the opportunity to explore other options. Mr. Eckler, who is one of my CTE teachers, he and I have sat down and talked about it too, in the ways that his program can reinforce what's happening in our math classrooms. And Dr. Somerville Majette sent me a PowerPoint, I think a year ago, about integrating more math into CTE and STEM programs so that you can reinforce what they're learning in that math program.
Well, I would think that the violins and keyboards could go in with your band, so that would free it up for, okay.
I'm going to be honest with you, my focus is right now on this core. I'm more interested in what I need to help my non-readers read.
So you need the 6.
Yeah. If I had to pick, I mean, that would be my choice, if I had to make a decision on it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Again, the space issue is kind of concerning to me. You've got
I've
6.
got it.
Okay.
I've got it. I promise you I've got it.
Okay.
We've lost 20 teachers. I've got room for 6. So.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions?
Yeah, you made the comment just then of concentrating on students that cannot read.
Yes.
What grade level is your school?
We're 6 through 8.
6th graders, and you're concentrating on reading?
Well,
Shouldn't that be concentrated in elementary schools?
And I think that kids come to us at all different levels. I think I said non-readers, but we do have some kids that struggle with that. I think they have it too. And Ms. Dalton and Mr. Taylor and I have talked about that. You know, they're trying to work with us and figure out ways we can support that. And I saw her data on kids that are read to. It would really help our students that are low readers to go to her school and read to her students too. You benefit from reading to someone, and they're benefiting from hearing someone read to them. So I think that we could work together and work on that solution together. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Madam Chair, member of the board, Dr. Thornton, good morning. This is our presentation for, I'm not going to use that. This is our presentation for Parkview Middle School. Like Ms. Shores, we're going to focus mostly on instruction. I could spend a lot of time talking about building and stuff, but here. Currently, we have 620 students, 6th grade, 6 through 8. And right now, we have approximately 6.5 teachers or subjects per for electives. And I say half because we share the music teacher with the high school, so that's the half. We average in size about 27 to 30 students in our elective classes. We have 2 CTE high school credit classes that must, by state standards, stay at a certain number, and so that requires some of the other classes to become larger because of size. However, due to our numbers of students, one of my classes is actually over seat requirement by the state, so I have to explain why in a presentation to them and something I have to send to them. Right now with 50 teachers, and this is just current information, right now with our 50 teachers, we're allotted in money we received, which was $22,000. We have about $400 per teacher, and if you break that down, that comes to about $35 a student that teachers have to spend on their classes. And that's for all instructional needs, including anything they need or want from the school side of the instructions. So, first thing I'm asking for is an additional Spanish teacher. And I'm actually willing to share one. We offer 8th grade students the opportunity to take Spanish 1, which is a high school credit, before they leave the middle school. And high school students are required to take either 3 to 4 years of one language or 2 years of 2 different languages to meet the high school requirement. So right now, I have 1 Spanish teacher that I'm able to offer 40 students the opportunity to take Spanish 1 as a high school credit, which is, if my class sizes, my total 8th grade class right now is about 210 students, so that means we're offering that to about 19% of our population, which is really, really low. Oh, sorry about that. So we're offering it to only about 19% of our population. And that's a really low number than sending them to the high school, knowing that they have to do the spot above to complete high school. So we'd like to be able to offer more of our 8th grade students that opportunity, so they going into Spanish 2 if they're going to stay in Spanish, or complete that second year of Spanish and then move to another language later on. So that's the first thing that I'm looking for. And I offer, so that when I say I'm willing to share, if minimum, I could use a Spanish teacher to teach just to my 8th grade the Spanish 1 class, and then they could go to the high school or another location, but I would need them for just that to offer, to change that number. I would like an additional elective teacher, however, because of the number of class sizes being 27 to 30, plus with my 2 CTE classes, keeping my numbers low. If I could pick up another elective teacher, I would have that number could drop to about 26 a class, and that's a better size to work with middle school students, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. The class I'd like to offer, and it was really nice sitting back and listening to everyone talk, especially from South Hill and Ms. Shores, I also would like to focus on STEM, and I'd like to offer a class called Coding. And it is basically the step-by-steps that you need when you program a computer to tell it what to do, and then the computer does it. This actually came from a suggestion from a parent group. They suggested some type of a STEM program for us, and this technology class for us. And when they got talking to me, I really enjoyed the conversations that I had with them. They cited 2 sites that I went to and looked at and kind of checked things out. One is Khan Academy, and it's a curriculum already developed by Khan Academy on coding. The other one is coding.org, and it's 1 hour of coding where students can work on just 1 hour a day and do some coding. Bottom slide there, it just says everything is powered by coding. Our phones, our computers, everything we do today in technology is powered by coding. The most interesting thing I found was this top slide, that in 10 years, it's estimated that there will be only 1.4 million jobs in technology, and only 400,000 people qualified for those jobs. So to kind of go back earlier to the question about why do the STEM and the kids who already know how to use the basic computer stuff, you're right, they do. They're much more smarter than we are when it comes to the basic computers. But these are jobs, and these are careers, and I think that that's something that we need to consider when we look at what we're doing for our high school students and then beyond high school. And that's why I think this is something that would be very beneficial. Also, if I did have that additional class, I could keep that that state-required CTE class at the proper class size. And that's 20. Just the 2 classes that I offer, the Ag and the Spanish, are required to be at 20. Or Spanish is 25 and Ag is 20, just so you know. And then, of course, with La Crosse offering the music and South Hill offering the STEM, or wanting to offer STEM, it's a nice feed into us, so I can offer both. We already all have a music program. We do after-school piano. I'm going to talk to Mr. Camden about how we can continue to offer to his students that come to us to take violin or take keyboarding, and then also add in this coding class would then provide us for when the South Hill students, if they do get that and come in our way, how to increase and improve what they're doing, maybe leading into careers in high school. The final thing I'd like to ask for is a reading and math specialist. And I'm not going to read you what it says, but basically, our students deserve the very best that we can give them educationally. And not every student is on the same level. Not every student has the same home life. Not every student has the same support at home or there. And so they are at varying levels of education. In a perfect world, they'd all be at the same spot, but we don't live in a perfect world. I would very much like to see us get, for those students who need additional support outside of our classroom time, the opportunity for them to receive that extra support, whether it be by moving into the classroom and that teacher working with them in the classroom, or being pulled out and doing some additional support with them on the areas where they're the weakest. the goal at the middle school should be to prepare them for high school and get them to where they need to be so they can be successful in high school. If we don't catch them up, for whatever reason they're behind, their chances of being successful in high school drop dramatically. And so our goal at the middle school should be to get them as caught up as we can and as close to grade level as we can in whatever area they're weak in so that they can be successful. And of course, math and reading, we are warned in that, so that is the areas that we focus on.
Are you asking for a teacher for each, a reading teacher and a math teacher?
I'm not
or
asking
you
for a
want
teacher.
combination?
I'm not asking for a teacher. I'm asking for a specialist. A specialist would be somebody who's received a master's degree that is trained and been prepared to provide extra support with working with students and with staff to provide that extra help to those students. It's not a teacher. It's an actual support person. They're called math and reading specialists.
All right, so it's one in each area that
Yes,
you
ma'am.
want.
Yes, ma'am. And if I were able to get them, this is what this slide talks about, it would allow us to pull the identified students and give them additional remediation to increase actual ability level, and then give the teacher someone who can provide targeted professional development during the day, during their planning, during the morning hours, instead of bringing them in, and also go into the classroom and help them with providing them with training to provide better teaching instruction during the day for those students while they're in their class. The last thing I'd like to ask for is in the budget, in the area of budget, I'd like a $10,000 increase in my budget. As I said, right now, $400 per teacher, $35 per student is my current number. That increase would bring me up to $650 per teacher or $52 per student, and I don't think that's a whole lot of extra to ask for. And the reason I ask for this is because a lot of times, as you know, teachers will buy things out of their own pocket because they feel they want to do what's best for their kids. No matter what we have to offer them, no matter if I tell them, don't worry about it, bring it to me, I'll pay for it, they still do it. I want to provide them as much support as I can financially so that maybe they won't take that out of their own pocket and they'll come to me and say, I need a little bit more and mostly for the non-renewable items, pencils, pens, whiteboards, whiteboard markers, that kind of thing. Questions?
I guess it's more of a statement. You're looking at helping increase your core subjects with the reading and the math specialist, correct?
Yes, sir.
And one of the things you mentioned that I was impressed with is the possibility of having someone in coding.
Yes.
It came up before with the book, The Global Achievement Gap, where writing and math is no longer enough. And you're right, with increasing in core math and reading, and then with coding. Everyone knows how to use a smartphone, but they don't understand what goes behind it. That's the
Correct.
coding, which will be a good link between South Hill Elementary with the STEM, a good transition piece there.
Yeah, and I was excited when I heard her talk about that because I had not known that that's what I knew they were talking about it, but I didn't know that was something she was going to ask for. So I was very excited when I heard that.
Because we already have the transition piece with band at the middle school for the arts, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else have a question? Thank you all.
Knowing what you know now that South Hill Elementary may be going in that direction, would you be looking at another type, I mean, continue with the coding, but would you want an additional elective to go along with some of the other things,
Yeah.
with the robotics and the things like that as well?
Yeah, I would very much like robotics is something of very interest. One thing I think is important for middle school is that high school has certain requirements that have changed over the years. One of the things they have to do is they have to have a CTE requirement to graduate. They have to complete so many CTE classes. I would love to work vertically with both schools so that we're offering Parkview High School students the opportunity to either take introductory classes that'll help them get their CTE requirement when they get to the high school, or actually offer maybe even the first level of that so that they get the high school credit as an 8th grader and then can get their completer in the time they're there, especially for our students that do governor's school or advanced diplomas. There's lots of other classes they have to take, so the more we can do to help would be wonderful. I'd love to see robotics. I'd love to see us change our technology classes to where we're doing more in line with what the high school does as far as requirements for CTE, such as CIS completers and that kind of thing. I'd like to see us be able to offer our students auto mechanics, carpentry at the 8th grade level, so that when they go to the high school, they can go with it. But of course, you know, you have to take baby steps, and I think this is the best place to start at this because that's what I have space for right now.
That was going to be my next statement too, is that, you know, I'd love to see all of these as well, but there is a space issue. We need to make sure that as we go forward with the Board of Supervisors, that we talk about not only what we need this year, but next year with the STEM program coming on, you're going to have to add these. However, there's no space for that.
What I would do, for your information, is we have, my Spanish class right now is in one of my labs because we use Rosetta Stone as part of the teaching. I would actually move my Spanish teacher out of the lab. That's where I'd put the coding class and give them that technology piece across from where my technology class currently resides. And I would move my Spanish class into one of my classrooms. So during planning, they'd have to travel, they'd have to move, but we could create something. I also have the ability to possibly build, I have some larger trailers. I could possibly divide them into two. It makes the rooms a little bit smaller, but they're doable size. They're not, it's still 25, 30 kids could fit in a room. It's just not as much space, and we could do something there to create a more permanent, if we had to, for the Spanish. So what I'm asking for, I have the ability to do now. I'm not trying to do something outside of, because I am limited in my space.
And I just wanted to make sure that as you supervisors and talk about this, that you let them know that space will be an issue.
Yes, ma'am.
These are the 21st century skills that their future workforce needs. However, we don't have the space to be able to offer them.
Yes, ma'am. You got it. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
I want to thank the school board and members for coming out and listening to each and every school here, just for their personal need, their customized needs for their particular building. My needs are just the same. It's the customized needs that I need for Bluestone High School in order to continue on doing the good things that we do. First of all, I want to make sure that you understand that the needs that I'm presenting to you today is pretty much from our chain of command that we have at Bluestone High School. It goes from the teachers to the department chairs, to the administration, and that is what you're going to see. Every decision here has teacher input 100% in it. The next thing I want to point out is that what I'm asking for today is, this is in lieu of cuts to staff. I cannot take any cuts to the staff that I already have. I'm working with what I like to call a bottom of the barrel plate here. I cannot go any lower than what I already have. With that stated, just want to point out in 2009, Bluestone High School actually had 59 teachers. In 2010, 58, in 11, 56, 2012, 52, and 2013, 50, and now we have 49. I think Mrs. Garner is pretty, understands exactly the cuts we're going. So right now we have 49 teachers doing exactly what we do. So what Missy actually said, Ms. Shores actually said, with the 2 teachers increase every grade level, that will 100% support what we're doing at the high school level. All right. We're going to the first slide. I guess I got to do that myself. Yep. Perfect. First thing I'm going to question is a special education teacher. Now, one thing I need to make sure you understand is due to the cancellation of the modified diploma for the 2013-2014 school year, all the students that would have been placed on a modified diploma are now seeking a standard diploma. Now, that is a big change, what's going on in the education field right now. And I have, as you can see on the chart, we'll get to in a second, 2009, 2010, there were 22 modified diplomas. Over the years, the state has been trying to push that level lower. Now to the fact of modified diplomas, if you don't really understand the concept of it, they are excused from the actual SOLs. Now these students, now, the way that it's set up, the current juniors and the current seniors are the only 2 grade levels left for the modified diploma. The 9th graders and the 10th graders that I have at this present time, they have to take the SOL. So those students that would have been exempt from taking the SOL, now it's mandatory that they do take the SOL, okay? Now, with that stated, the upcoming 8th grade class, about 20% of that class will be affected by this actual change. And with that stated, one thing that we're trying to put in place at the actual high school is a VSAP, Virginia Substitute Evaluation Program. It states a little bit about that right there. Now, the VSAP is a little different. Instead of taking SOL at the end throughout the entire year, they consolidate a book of all of the actual work that their child is doing. And then that book is sent off to the State Department for grading. We've already completed one VSAP. We sent that off earlier this year, and we received an advanced pass score on that. So we already know what to do, and we already know how to do it, and we've already been successful in doing it. Now, if you look at the chart, as you can see over the years, the sped teacher population at Bluestone High School has been reduced. It only been reduced at 1, but 1 is a major effect of what's going on with our sped caseload. The sped population has fluctuated throughout the years, but as you can see right here, this year we have is 93 individuals. Now, you will also see the correlation between the VSAPs and the modified, how the modified is actually going down and the VSAPs are actually picking up. Now, what we're going to find in 2 years, there's going to be a lot of talk on VSAPs, and while we're not preparing ourselves for this, if we've seen it coming, we need to make sure that we prepare ourselves for that so we don't have a mishap. Now, these numbers are only the IEP students. These numbers do not include the 504 students who is also eligible for actual VSAP. All right. Next slide. Are there any questions concerning this slide?
But the special ed students can take an SOL.
Yes, ma'am.
If they do not pass it within then they can go to the VSAP.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions concerning this slide? All right, moving right along. The next request is the foreign language teacher. All right. At this present time, what we have at Bluestone High School, for the first semester, we had 2 Spanish teachers, and then we actually shared a Spanish teacher with Parkview High School. So Ms. Kinley and I worked out a nice schedule that we can have 1 full-time Spanish teacher and then 1 half Spanish teacher. She stays with me for the first semester, and the second semester, she goes to Parkview High School. Now, the only issue with this is that first semester, I had 150 students in foreign language. Now, this semester, I have 120 students. It's only a 30-student differential in that. And we're working it out through various different avenues that we have tried to work everything out through. With the addition of the Spanish teacher, I'll be able to actually apply the Spanish curriculum to 70 more students during the second semester. This will actually lower down the core classes class size, and also increase the actual number of Spanish-speaking students that we have. On the chart, what I want to make sure I point out is that the DE and advanced diplomas all require 3 levels of foreign language. Now, I did a quick survey of the school. I had over 75 students that stated they would love to be able to go for Spanish 4. Yes, we do offer Spanish 4 at this time, but with the addition of a new foreign language teacher, that offering could be a lot easier, and it could be with a reduced class size. Now, with what BHS has started, more of an immersion process, okay. One thing that has helped us out tremendously over the years, and I don't want to lead anyone astray, is the Rosetta Stone lab and the Rosetta Stone program. That is a must. We need to keep that in place as we have it. That allows us, in order to branch out, to reach even more students. But the actual immersion process of the Spanish language have to have a body in that room. I have to have an actual Spanish teacher in that room. Are there any questions concerning this slide? Thank you. All right. The last request I have is a library aid. All right. What we did was encompass the iReady system when we had the iReady system from the elementary schools and the middle schools into the high school. And what we found was due to low reading scores that were coming to the high school, we had to initiate several different things. One thing we found out that the average student in the freshman class, now this average, I took the highest of the high, the next valedictorian, and the lowest of the low, and I averaged them all together, okay? I averaged all of them all together. So that does not mean, I do not want this slide to reflect that everyone is on this level. It's the high, low, average together. The freshman class is a population of 154 students, is on the 3rd grade reading level. Is on the 3rd grade reading level, averaged in, okay? The sophomore class is on the 4th grade reading level. That's 142 students altogether, averaged in, okay? That is what we're facing at Bluestone High School at this particular time. Now you see, understand why Ms. Shores getting those extra teachers in reading and math could actually aid the Bluestone High School. Now the librarian, what I did was I took the librarian, and I'm using the librarian as pretty much a reading specialist. I think we all know Ms. Crowder, and you all know that she has a master's degree in English. So she volunteered to want to focus on the lower level students to bring them up to grade level. The plan that we have put in place, that we're going to bring all of these students up to at least 2 grade levels before the end of the year. So what we tried to create is more of a freshman English class. When those freshmen come in and they're originally tested at the beginning of the year, we take those ones that are at a very low level and we mix them in and we have a freshman English class. So the first semester, they go through the freshman English class. Second semester, they go through their regular 9th grade English. So they're getting actually 2 English classes during that time frame that help build them up to go on to be in the 10th grade, because as you know, by the 11th grade year, it's SOL time, and it's almost too late in order to try to add any implementations in there. Now, the librarian, she works with 60 students pretty much a day. Every single day, she's working with 60 students. This includes lab supervision, individual reading assessments, small group reading circles, and help with those assignments that are popping up. Now, with all of that stated, what she's working on is listed right at the lower slide. Now, the librarian still maintains services to students who wish to do their regular things that you do in the library, the independent research, small group assignments, and the peer tutoring. So our regular library is still actually going on. What I'm requesting is an aid to assist in the regular things that are going on in the library so that Ms. Crowder, our current librarian, can continue to do those things that are needed. Are there any questions concerning this slide? All right, moving on. Supplies. The cost of the supplies will be listed on the next slide. Just want to go into details. What I'm looking for is requesting is for the DE curriculum, academic journals for cross-curriculum studies. As you already know, at Bluestone High School, what we did was we increased the rigor tremendously in all DE classes across the board. We just didn't do it in English or literature. We did it across the board in calculus, all of the history classes, the whole 9 yards. With that stated, everything has worked out great. One of the things that influenced my decision for that is the fact that I continually had students coming back from the college level and saying that we could have did a better job in preparing them. I took that personal, I took that to the actual department chairs, and then we created a plan to make the curriculum a little bit more rigorous. The students went through it, and students see the more rigorous progress is helping them on the college level. Now, what I want to do is continue on that approach. With the implementation of additional novels and nonfiction books, this will actually aid in a cross-curriculum study across all of Bluestone High School. Now, I'm only order these in sets of 50 and 75 to ensure that enough material. Now, this, of course, will increase the student rigor. Now, this was not previously required in DE classes, several of the things that are listed. Each and every week to read academic journals and complete essays based on articles every single week. That was not included. Now that's a normal thing that happens. So that is why I'm requesting the funds on the next slide for this. Next one is calculators. Calculators, every once in a while you have to actually buy new calculators. That's just the name of the game. That's just what has to be done. Now I'm requesting that we buy a specific calculator this time. The cost of the calculator, of course, is right on the slide. And the current calculators that we're using right now is 10 to 15 years old. Now, these calculators will aid in Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. And at the same time, we still have to buy replacement calculators anyway. The classes that would benefit from these supplies, those dual enrollment classes, are the classes listed below on that particular slide. Are there any questions concerning this slide?
The next slide is going to show the cost.
Absolutely. The next slide is the budget detail on Bluestone request. That's your SPED teacher, foreign language, library aid, the DE curriculum, $8,000 for the actual novels and the curriculum enhancements, and the actual calculator, $6,000. $6,000 will give me 80 calculators, and I will have a full set of calculators for every single class.
these are the only staff personnel you're asking for, one sped teacher, one foreign language teacher, a library aide?
Copy that. Now, the reason why I know that different schools are asking for different I'll say personnel. All right, the personnel at Bluestone High School, a lot of the stuff is dependent upon what the flow of the traffic of what we get every single year. If I ask for a lot of teachers at this present time, I might get stuck in a box. If the middle school is allotted their math teachers and their reading teachers, that would influence me greatly on where I have to put my personnel to meet the students' needs. Every single year, the student needs are different. The students do not come to you with the same exact needs. As you already know, what we suffered from this year was very low reading scores for the 9th grade class. Well, I've been already looking at different things with Ms. Shores. The next 9th grade class that are coming up, they are low, but they're not as low as what I have right now. So to put other things in place as permanent fixtures will actually be a downfall to myself.
Okay. So it shows you've been working hand in hand with the middle school. The two of you have worked together to
Copy
figure out
that.
what you need. Okay, thank you.
Are there any questions concerning this slide? All right, if that's no more question, that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Tanner, Dr. Thornton, and school board members. I'd first like to thank you for this opportunity this morning that we get to come and personally speak with you face to face to really emphasize to you the unique needs of our school, especially for our students. I first want to start off, before I go any further, I want to explain to you why I feel like that we have the significant needs that we do at Parkview High School. And the main reason is for our growing student population. You can see that back in 2010 to 2011, we had 760 students, and we've grown so much in the past several years. This year, we have 829 currently enrolled. Due to projections, we take the numbers from Parkview Middle School, but also we factor in, we have on average 10 to 12 students from the First Christian School that finish up in the 8th grade and they come to Parkview. So we factor that in as also with the transfer students as well. We're estimated to have about 865 students next year. I want to point that out because in just a 4-year time period, we're looking at expanding 100 students. That's significant in terms of lockers, in terms of lunch, in terms of teacher needs. I want to make sure that we understand that this growing population really is pushing for the need for the amount of teachers that I am requesting. I do want to thank Dr. Thornton with the growth the past 2 years that we've experienced. He's worked with us tremendously in terms especially of our lunches, solidifying and getting that pavilion set up so that our students have an expanded place to go for lunch. And also for the expansion of our student parking lot, it's made a much safer area in the afternoons for our parents who come and pick up their students as well as the students leaving. Personnel, we are requesting 5 teachers, 1 in each of the core areas, English, math, history, and biology, specifically that science need. We need 1 for biology, as well as a health and physical education teacher. And what I've actually done is I've broken it up into each of the 5 sections to explain the need for these teachers. Starting with English, our average class size is this current school year. We have 22 in English 9, 26 in English 10, 27 in English 11, and 28 in English 12. We tried to keep the numbers as low as possible in English just because of the overall fact of the transition for students. It takes oftentimes a semester for students to get well acquainted and acclimated to the high school setting, so we wanted to keep those numbers as low as possible. Mr. Coleman spent a lot of time explaining to you all the situation that we are in with the fact that the state has taken away the modified diploma as an option for our special education students. And as a result of that, we really are not having the need for the self-contained resource classrooms. So our SPED population is going into the general education setting with collaborative teachers. This is a need now for more English general teachers. Also at Parkview High School, as a lot of you all are aware, on our end of the county, there's a huge push for drama and speech programs. This is done actually in and out of school. We currently, on our end, as part of VHSL, we are sanctioned for one act. In the fall, we actually have a team that goes and competes on the district and conference level. In the community, we have what's called children's theater. That's done from the elementary to the high school level. And then we have a club at Parkview High School that's called the Drama Club. And they actually, on their own, with a sponsor, put on a spring play every year that they host at the La Crosse Commerce Center. So it's a huge demand and need. As a result, this year we have 34 students sitting in one speech and drama class. We were only allowed, due to our scheduling, to offer one class. And as you can imagine, having 34 students in one classroom trying to act and do monologues and plays, it's very difficult. We had to turn students away due to the high demand of this class. And also it's a struggle because we have mixed levels in here. We have students that are taking speech and drama 1, 2, and even advanced drama all in one setting. Next year, our projections for increased enrollment actually puts us needing 6 additional classes, and that is comparable to 1 teacher. We need 1 English 10, 2 English 11, as Mr. Coleman mentioned. The need for this upcoming 10th to 11th grade class, since the modified is no longer an issue, these students will have to take the SOLs. So we want to make sure that the need for the decreased class sizes so that we can make sure that we're meeting those students' needs. 1 English 12, 1 Basic 12. I want to explain a little bit about the Basic 12 class. Basic 12 is made up of students who failed either or both the writing and reading SOL the 11th grade year. We put them in Basic 12 in addition to their English 12 just so that we can go back, reinforce the things that they miss, either concentrate specifically on the reading or the writing so that they can pass that SOL and ultimately graduate. And then due to the high demand for the elective speech and drama, we would like to offer 1 more section of that. In terms of mathematics, we need another math teacher. We had the great idea to reintroduce year-long courses this year. As a result of that, though, you have a teacher who's teaching maybe a class of 25 math students year-long for first block. So you've gone from that teacher who typically could have 50 students to now just that 25 year-long. And we're seeing significant gains for that, especially with those students who have those unique needs. And because of the fact that, as you all are aware, Parkview is our focus area this year is math due to our accreditation status. Also, there's an increase of students who are requesting algebra functions and data analysis before Algebra 2. They just see that as really that opportunity for a bridge or for a transition to the harder math classes, so there is a higher demand for that. We also this year introduced computer math and freshman math. This is additional classes, but as a result of the lack of teachers we've had to mix these classes. So for example, we may have a class where we have some computer math students and geometry students in the same class. Same thing with freshman math. We have some freshman math students and Algebra 1 students in the same classroom. So there's really a need to separate those. And then also, we have some guidelines that are set forth by SVCC in terms of our pre-calculus and calculus courses. They actually have some guidelines about the max enrollment of students that can go in those classes, so that limits us as well. History, our history numbers for this year, you can see that we have listed on the chart. World History 1, we have 27, which is a huge class. It's our freshman history class. So it's a lot of students, as I mentioned, in that transition year for them to become acquainted and accustomed to the school and have large class sizes. Some of our classes, like for example, political science dual enrollment, we actually have 2 classes of that right now with 31 in each class, so very large classrooms. We are pushing for a need for 6 more classes next year, 1 for U.S. history, 2 for government. As you can see, we're averaging 28 students right now in government, 1 political science, 1 world history 1, and I'm sorry, it should be actually intro to psychology. That has been an elective that students request and demand every single year, but unfortunately we don't have the amount of teachers needed to offer it, so we are not able to offer that class currently. Biology. Biology, for students going on a standard diploma, they must have 3 sciences before they graduate. So a lot of our students typically go Earth Science 1, Biology 1, and then they request either Earth Science 2, Ecology, or Biology 2. Our Biology 1 courses are maxed out at 24 students. This is due to the size of the classroom, but also to the labs that they do. There's a lot of dissection and a lot of hands-on things. So as a result of that, we try to keep our numbers down to 24. I do want to note that of the upper level science classes, Biology 2 is our most requested course. But unfortunately, this year we were only allowed to because of our numbers, to offer 1 section of this. We had to turn a lot of students away and go back and ask them, would you rather take ecology or science? And due to our projections next year, we're not going to be able to even offer Biology 2 at all because we have so many students needing Biology 1 for our 2 teachers. Also, our Ecology and Earth Science 2 classes are maxed out at 24 as well. Health and Physical Education, we currently have 2.5 health PE teachers. This is because one of our PE teachers is the athletic director, so he spends half of his day doing athletic director duties. One of those teachers actually has 4 classes a day. She teaches 1, 2, 3, and 4 straight through. You can see an average here, HPE 9. We actually have to mix the HPE 9 and HPE DE classes together. They have 31 on average. We really ideally would like to separate them. The reason being is that our HPE 9 DE, they have several extra components from SVCC. They have an orientation component, and there are a lot of other things since, of course, a dual enrollment associate's degree class that we would like to do, but we have to keep them together right now because of our staffing. HPE 10, we have 32, so that means when it comes time to the book part, we have 32 kids that we're trying to jam into a classroom for driver's ed. And our weight training, we've had to limit these course offerings available as well. We have to mix classes of weight training 1 and 2, and they average about 20 students. What we need next year is we really need 18 classes total, which would really mean 3.5 teachers, 6 HPE 9s, singling out the HPE DEs, HPE 10, weight training 1, and HPE 10. This is a significant need for us, especially when you think in terms of sometimes 3 teachers are in the gym at a time. Sometimes classrooms are as high as 35. You're looking at about 100 kids in a gym. And especially in the winter months when it's cold and we're not able to get outside, it makes it very difficult to set up stations and the high number of students in the classroom. Our instructional needs, Mr. Coleman emphasized calculators. I would like to emphasize that need again. Calculators are used all day, every day, and there's a significant need for the scientific function and element of that as well. We would like 2 class sets, but the estimated cost, you look at it really about $2,000 plus for each class set. We were fortunate this year to get the emulator software for 1 set of our calculators, but for the TI, the Texas Instruments, we would like to get that as well for next year. Promethean tablets, this is, our math teachers are requesting that way that they can actually take the tablets to the students sitting at their desk to work out math problems that would then, of course, project to the Promethean. Ecology textbooks, a mineral testing kit, a Nystrom World History Atlases. We've had some that are about 10 years old, so they're really falling apart. HP equipment, our art and photojournalism supplies, Rosetta Stone headphones, books, newspapers, and magazines, postage, and our teacher and office supplies. This is just falling under that general instructional category. Mrs. Tuck is going to talk about the safety and security of the schools, but I specifically asked Dr. Thornton to talk, if I could talk about security cameras. This is a huge, huge, huge need at Parkview High School. We have the fewest amount of cameras in a school of any school in Mecklenburg County. It is completely astounding at the lack of cameras we have. We do not have a single camera in our VOTEC building. We do not have a single camera in our ag building. We do not have a single camera in our gym. We do not have a single outside camera. And also on the front hall, we do not have a camera that is actually going from one end of the lobby down to the right end of the hallway. This provides a lot of problems for us. As you all are well aware, we've had some recent issues, especially within the past couple years. Twice last year, our bookkeeper's office was broken into during the weekend. Fortunately, we did not lose a lot, but it was very difficult to be able to help the police with finding out information when we did not have the security measures in place to be able to show them any cameras. Also this year, as you all are well aware, during our winter break, we had the theft of the oil and the fuel, and that is that's posed a huge problem as well. So I would really like to emphasize that we strongly need some security cameras in our school building. Also, in terms of capital improvements, as you all are aware, within the past 3 to 4 years, we've made significant gains in the area behind our football field. We actually cleared out that timber. We built a practice track and field for our team, and so they wouldn't just have to practice out in front of the school. We also, that area has been utilized for some soccer practices, and we also turned that area into a parking lot for patrons who want to come to the football games and the baseball games as well. Unfortunately, though, this has brought about an annual expense for us. It's just basic crush and run that is down, and as a result of heavy rains, we have a lot of degradation to the land, and each year we've had to call in a local company and have them come in with a motor grader and do significant grading work. This year we actually had to get them to bring in some more crush and run for us, so we had the hauling expenses that occurred as a result of that. The past 2 years we've had to pay approximately $2,000 each year for this need. So as you can see, $2,000 every single year, it's getting to be an expensive cost. Therefore, we are requesting to pave this area so that we will not have the issues of the degradation of land every year. And Mrs. Tuck is going to talk about this further. The total budget request for Parkview High School personnel, since I'm requesting 5 teachers, that brings us to a total of $265,000. Instruction, $52,896. That includes, of course, the Staples allocation that our teachers were so happy to receive this year. And then capital improvements for that area that is behind the football field, approximately $35,000 for paving. So that brings Parkview High School's request to a total of $352,896. I apologize. Getting all tongue-tied this morning for our request for the upcoming school year. Are there any questions?
I'm seeing a recurring theme of teachers, and I think it's from the budget cuts of the last 4 years. It's just such an incredible need for teachers.
Yes.
And I think our budget, when we go to the Board of Supervisors, it's going to be very, we have to, I don't know, I mean, to me, it's common sense. Increased class sizes are harder on our kids and teachers. To me, it's common sense, but we also want to emphasize that a lot of this is from the past 4 years of cuts, so we have to play catch up.
Correct.
Plus, we want to play catch up with our teacher salaries and our other support staff salaries as well. So I think we're going to have to really prepare for this presentation to the Board of Supervisors. And I wanted to ask, too, with the $52,000 for instruction, I know we have a great resource where they have a CPA with Ms. Garner. I hope all the teachers all the principals and support staff can utilize her to find out how we can use the money that we have for our students the best way. A lot of that, I don't know if you and Mr. Coleman have plans for a lot of the money that y'all have in the student activity funds. I think you said it was like $200,000 or... Yeah, if they have any plans for that money, or if you and Mr. Coleman could come back with plans for that money, or give us some sort of idea, because one thing I was thinking about is that the driver's ed, that's like a continual income, is that right? I mean, I know you bought cars out of it, but does central office pays the teacher? Mm-hmm. So that money, I mean, what is that used for? What is that going to be used for? Or
That's the decision that we are making in our current manual. In research and talking with auditors, commonly the
Mhm.
I felt like that's the way we wanted to go.
Mhm.
We had problems, but when I got looking at the student activity accounts and the STEA accounts, some of our schools, that's all they have.
Mhm.
The middle schools.
Mhm.
Take it from them, they have nothing to spend.
Mhm.
On advice from the auditor, we're going to start having that money transferred into a unallocated account so that they can spend it on whatever needs they feel they need for the school rather than us going back.
Then maybe we can, so they can send it, they're pretty much in anything you want, right?
Correct.
Okay, that'd be great. Okay, good.
And again, I think as we move towards the Board of Supervisors, we have to keep in mind the programs that we're instituting at the elementary level needs to feed into the middle level and also needs to feed into the high. So the STEM programs that are coming up through, you know, the kids will start coming through, we need to start making sure that we've got those programs in the high school too. And again, it goes back to space, because I know space is a
Absolutely.
limited, you know, you're limited to
Absolutely.
some of that too. I am glad to see that, you know, the teachers that you've requested, I am concerned that we might not be able to have the biology too. And my concern there is that STEM H is so important for anyone that's going into the healthcare field. And I feel like that's something that we really need to make sure that we have there.
I agree.
So,
Especially because biology too is a lot of the anatomy and physiology.
Right.
So you have students who are looking to go into the healthcare profession. A lot of them like to take that course.
right.
Yes. Thank you.
Ten.
Share our budget with you guys. I think the principals have already done a very good job of establishing how important technology is for our students. So in the interest of time, my presentation is really focused on numbers and what that translates to. Mr. Reed's also emailing all these presentations to Ms. Shuttleworth so she can put them on board docs so you can have those as well. So what I did was broke our budget down by category. Can you click on the screen, Chris? There we go. Awesome, thank you. And it just showed what we basically spend out of each category and what the increases look like. So we have the 3,000 category, which is purchase services, which is currently at $175,000. This is where our Microsoft licensing, our help desk, our email archiving, our server backups. This is the category that all of those things come out. The reason for the increase is we had a 3-year support contract with our student information systems, which has expired. So this year we have to renew the support for that. We've also added a number of devices to our infrastructure, so the cost goes up because of that as well. And we had a multi-year contract on our trouble ticket system, which is up this year. That will increase, and our storage, our SAN, was a 3-year contract as well that expires this year. So that's where we arrive at the $65,000 increase. Stop me at any time if you have questions. I'm going to try to go through it pretty quickly. 5,200 is communication services. We talked about that at the board meeting last month. That pays for our internet, our WAN connections, our voice, our wireless. This increase is due to the new E-rate modernization law, so we have to supplement that budget. It's being phased out starting next year. Travel services, that's the money we use to go to conferences and trainings. We're pretty frugal with that. We try to go to everything free we can. So there's no increase to that category. 6,000 is our supplies. It's basically where we pay for Promethean pins and bulbs and wire ties and all those things that we use to make our technology run. Non-consumables, that's where we buy projectors and switches and things that come up miscellaneous throughout the year. No increase there either. our real increases are in replacement capital. We've tried to get on a good refresh cycle, doing 6th and 9th grade laptops, and as Ms. Height said earlier, she has a need, so we're looking at replacing the 4th grade laptops at South Hill, and continuing down. We did high school teachers year before last, new computers. We did middle school teachers this year, so we'll continue with our refresh and get down to the elementary teachers. Any questions about that? And then new capital. A lot of our core switches are outdated. They're 8+ years old. This past year, we were fortunate enough to be able to replace 3. We have 5 more to go. So we're looking to replace those switches. They're very expensive. They're like $60,000 switches. Again, the more devices we add, the more wireless coverage we need, so we're having to add additional access points to accommodate. The librarian from La Crosse requested Chromebooks in the library because she wants to include that information fluency into part of her curriculum. Mr. Camden already talked about the Promethean boards that he needs. They have 4 teachers they added that don't have boards. The 30 desktops for Ms. Heights technology initiative we have in our budget, and then the 100 iPads. Right now, we've been able to do our READY testing, IA testing, ST Math. In K2, we're able to do all those things on iPads, so the 2-to-1 that we have just is no longer enough. We need to up those numbers. So that'll give us about 300 iPads to 400-ish students. And then a loading dock here at the central office. We spend a lot of time offloading trucks and taking it to the stage and taking it back out on trucks. It's really a problem for us. We have a lot of computers and 150-pound switches that come in that we just have no way to accommodate. So we talked to maintenance about trying to get a loading dock door on the back of the stage here where the those windows are. It would really help out. That's our new capital. And here's just a breakdown of our budget. You can see what we spent this year, what the categories are, what we're looking at proposed for this year, and then the changes in that, which equates to $249,000. Any questions on that?
Okay, good morning. I'm going to keep pretty brief. Thank you for listening to us. Can you hear me back there? My request comes mostly in the way of new equipment. I'm proposing 10 new full-size buses, 4 new special needs equipped vehicles, also a 4x4 work truck, which could replace some of the newer work, or one of the newer work trucks that we have that could be given over to the maintenance department to replace one of their aging vehicles as well. And approximately 4 new cars to transport students to and from specialized educational purposes. My total request for equipment is a little under $1,300,000, which the buses in the past we've been doing on a 4-year lease. So that's not something that we'd be looking at right at one big lump sum. We'd be breaking that up over 4 years of the budget.
Excuse me, is there a presentation with this? What he's to?
Yes.
Okay.
Vehicle operations expenses that I'm requesting this year. Our TransFinder, our routing program, and the Zonar, which is our GPS system that's equipped in each of our vehicles. That particular service comes with a yearly contract. We did not get that into this year's budget, and we had to come and pull that out of other funds, so we need to make sure we get that in there this year. I'm requesting video cameras for some of the vehicles that don't currently have video cameras, and trying to increase the shop tool inventory as it is aging, which I'm asking for a total of $115,000 in upgrades to the equipment supplies portion of my budget. That's also including a full-time position in the office, the dispatching router position, somebody that can devote most of their time to making sure buses and drivers are where they need to be on time, and also to take care of the routing, the computerized routing. Currently, there is 2 full-time people in the office and 1 part-time secretary, bookkeeper, and with the size of our operation, national standards as far as transportation systems go, basically suggest that by the size of our operation that's a 4 full-time person position operation. So this would give me 3 full-time people and a 1 part-time person. That would clear myself up for some of the daily operational duties to go more of the supervisory position, which is desperately needed. If you have any questions, any comments, Dr. Thornton is going to send you copies of what I have proposed, and I do have it listed in order of what I consider to be important.
I have a question.
Sure.
You said you need 4 cars for special needs students, and then 4 cars for so you are talking total of 8 new cars?
No, just 4.
Just the 4.
Mm-hmm. More if we can, but that's what I'm asking for.
I have a question.
Sure.
I know that, you said we needed some more buses or to add some into the fleet.
Right.
But after hearing from Ms. Height this morning, all of the car riders that are coming in and all the car riders at the other schools, suppose that those families decide they're going to start putting their children on a bus. Do we have enough bus space for all of that?
As far as South Hill Elementary is concerned, if they all decide to start riding buses, no, we would have to add buses at South Hill Elementary.
What about so this would be pretty much division-wise. We obviously don't have enough buses for all of our students at this point.
Everything on the west side, I don't think we would need to add anything on the west side. Load counts run fairly low on the west side. The east side, we'd probably add vehicles.
Okay, I wonder if the reason that we have so many of the car riders is because of the full buses. I'd like to find that out, why.
That's part of it, and part of it is, I think, a customer service issue.
Okay. So we need to look at that then.
That's part of the reason why I'm asking for the 3rd full-time position in the office. Anything else?
Good morning. This is the maintenance and capital improvement budget, and I'm going to briefly go through this. I know I gave you a paper copy so that you can have that. Am I driving here? It's got our mission and vision. So what I wanted you to see particularly is what we'd like, our plan for what we would like to do for capital improvement. You can see that we want ceiling tiles replaced. This is constantly something that we're having to do with with the addition of wiring and everything, these ceiling tiles, they often need replacement. Bluestone Middle School asked for their office floor. We have several classroom floors at Clarksville and La Crosse that need replacing. We want to paint the hallways, paint the gyms at Bluestone Middle and Parkview Middle. We have a request to do the fencing around the dumpsters at several of our schools, electrical upgrade at the athletic field at Bluestone High School. We need to replace the ramps at Parkview Middle School that are around the mobile units, and the loading dock, as Mr. Gregory said earlier. I want to point out one thing about gravel. Recently, we just graded and graveled over at Bluestone Middle School, the parking lot there for the teachers, then around the loop, and that cost $8,000. Basically, that has to be done every year. So if we were to pave that, that would cost $35,000. And that's for about 15-year life expectancy, but it usually goes longer than that. Oh, whoops. So with this, that we have our current budget total is $225,000. So this alone would be $17,000 in addition. In addition, we have several other improvements.
Heather, I just wanted to clarify for them so they understand.
Sure.
That slide is what currently is in the budget except for needing 17,000. So those things were prioritized and will be done with next year's budget. And the additional things that the schools have asked for would be additional CIP requests from the Board of Supervisors. Not operating, it would be a CIP request.
That's right. And the gravel that's there, that actually is for gravel. We have we have to check our water every day for our septic, our schools that use septic, and that's never been gravelled apparently since the roads were created. And so many times our maintenance crew has to walk down if the road is wet or something. Okay. All right. Whoops. One of the things that you heard, of course, with our 21st Century after-school grant, is that lighting at night is an issue at several of our schools. We had some experts come in and look and study what we need to do to upgrade the lighting to make it safe, and this is an approximate cost for that. You heard about awnings and sidewalks needed at our elementary schools, additional security cameras, specifically at Parkview High School. And then we want to increase our security door access with our badges. I think each site had 5 access points, but we need more than that. This is also including the bus parking loop, paving at Chase City, their blacktop, the playground equipment, all of the things that were asked earlier. And this total is $727,000. Any questions on this? This is our one time that we want to ask for.
Just a comment, looking down this list, most of this list are safety issues that affect the safety of our staff and our students.
Absolutely.
So it's something that definitely needs to be looked at.
Yes, and if we don't meet these needs, then obviously we're going to have more needs next year. And, you know, they're just projects that have to be done and maintained. We're in these buildings. We don't know how long we'll be in these buildings, but we have to maintain these buildings.
I see that's one request that comes up every year that's not on here. I'm surprised Mr. Coleman didn't put it on here. The road beside the gym, not the gym, the Ag, Votech.
Right.
Every year has to have gravel.
Yes.
Why isn't this added into the paving?
It should be. You're right. You're exactly right. And so
Because that would
again,
save a lot of money.
Exactly. And I think my point was to show you what gravel versus paving would cost. But yes, you're exactly right. That needs to be added. Any other questions for this page? For purchase services, we're asking an additional $40,400. We have to pump off our septic tanks, and this I found has normally been done like every 3 years. It really should be done every year. For one, it would eventually decrease the cost to just pump it every year. and it needs to be done in the summertime when the schools are not, students are not there. It has been requested that we get a document shredding company to come and do massive amounts correctly, shredding our documents, and so this is for every site, and including central office, to come 3 times a year. Fire and safety inspections, we currently do have fire and safety inspections that are done. They're done by 3 different companies, and it does not include any repairs or upgrades or anything that may be done. And then we do not currently treat our boilers, our water, treatment for our boilers and chillers, and we obviously ran into some issues with our chiller over at South Hill Elementary, and we're trying to do some preventive maintenance so that that does not happen again. Any questions? Thank you.
No, we were just betting on who was going to get to go last. I just told her, sorry, she's last. Good morning. Again, on behalf of everyone, we want to thank you for listening to the concerns. Dr. Majette and I will be presenting the budget for the Department of Instruction. We did consult our instructional coordinators, and as you have heard, our principals have done a wonderful job speaking for themselves as far as their building level needs. The ultimate goal of instruction is to raise student achievement, to boost individuals' knowledge and prepare our students for future endeavors. In this age of increased accountability, measuring student achievement has never been more critical. This year, you will recall, we implemented a new diagnostic and instructional tool, iReady. We're required to use a tool to diagnose where our students are performing and identify the students that are not performing at benchmark. Then we must provide interventions for these students and monitor the effectiveness of those interventions. That's all part of the academic review process that we've been going through. So with iReady, we're getting all 3 of those components in one tool. So you'll see on the next page, I'm sorry, the cost for the iReady program. You'll also see Accelerated Reader and Math Facts in a Flash. Accelerated Reader, you saw several of the elementary principals especially putting on there, so they use some of their instructional allocation. What they use their instructional allocation for is the incentives that they use to go along with this program. This is actually the computer program where students read books and take quizzes and earn points, and then they get rewards. There are AR parties. It's a really, really big deal at the elementary level. We've been using it for years. And we want to continue using it, and also the middle school uses it. So this is just for the elementary and middle schools. And then Math Facts in a Flash is a product that comes along with Accelerated Reader from the same company that's used at the elementary level to build that math fact fluency. Students do 5 to 10 minutes of math fact fluency every day in their math classes, and this is one of the tools that they use regularly. This is a tool that does monitor their progress and give the teacher reports as to the progress that they're making with their math fact fluency. ST Math, you've heard mentioned a couple of times already. ST stands for Spatial Temporal Math. It is a research-based visual approach to teaching and learning math. It is created by the Mind Research Institute at the University of California. It is a supplemental game-based instructional software program that uses interactive, graphically rich animations that visually represent mathematical concepts to improve conceptual understanding and problem-solving skills. The spatial temporal reasoning ability lies at the core of innovative thinking and sophisticated problem solving, allowing the brain to hold visual mental representations in short-term memory and to evolve them in both space and time, thinking multiple steps ahead. It helps students make connections between the visual representations in the program to the symbolic representations found in their core instruction. The program is completely nonverbal. There are no directions for the students. For every puzzle solution that is posed to the student, ST Math animates the visual representations of math to provide immediate instructive feedback. We've been using this program this year at Chase City. We were very lucky last year to be able to get this for one school. We used it and implemented it at Chase City this year. The students absolutely love it. There's a little penguin named Gigi, and they just absolutely love. They go to do this in the computer lab. They can also do it on the iPads and the computers in the classroom, and they just adore it. They love it. It's really interesting to see that our kindergarten students are blossoming the most with this program. More of those students have already made it through 100% of their curriculum at the kindergarten level than any other grade level. The cost that you see here, I broke it down K-5 or K-2. I mean, ultimately, my heart would like to have this for K-5, but if we're not able to fund the whole thing, we could get it just for the K-2, because again, we're seeing so much success with those younger levels and starting that conceptual understanding at the youngest level. It is $49,000 per school, and then this is a one-time cost. After the first year, it is only about $3,500 to $4,000 to maintain this program. So Chase City will have that additional amount added in order to keep this program for another year there. But once you pay that initial $49,000 if you go K-5, or it is $34,000 if you go K-2, the next year it is drastically reduced. This company, this Mind Research Institute, they actually partner with corporations, foundations, and even individuals who help provide donations to help school divisions with this cost. This is one of the top-ranking STEM programs out there. It is hitting all of the newspapers. You've probably seen it. If you haven't, I can send you some articles. It's hitting everything, educational leadership. And there are lots of companies interested in helping school divisions bring this to them, to the schools, because they feel it is so critical to the need of our students. It teaches and helps with those critical thinking and problem-solving skills that they know they need later in the workforce. So the gentleman did indicate that he is generally able to get about 25% of the overall cost in donations. So this is the full cost, but we are hoping and anticipating that he would be able to give us about a 25% help in getting this program, which is why I'd really like to see us go K-5 and go ahead and get it this year with the help from him, and then we would have it and be able to maintain it for around $35,000 to $4,000, depending on the size of the school. Are there any questions? Yes, this is a nonprofit organization. They're putting this out, that's created this, the Mind Research Institute, and so all of these companies, Cisco is probably their biggest supporter, he said. I indicated to him that we have Microsoft in our back door, and he's going to contact them as well. So, you know, they do that work for us. We don't have to go out and do that, but he will solicit donations from these companies to help us implement this program. So if you're ever at Chase City, I really encourage you to stop by the computer lab and see the kids doing it. I have a couple of the games downloaded on my iPad. It's very challenging, and I've gotten stuck several times, and it's amazing because my second grader will pick up my iPad and get me through a level. And then, of course, he gets me to a harder level that I didn't get stuck on. But he is able to do it, and it's just wonderful to see the thought process that he goes through in working with that program.
Sure. Yeah. Good morning or good afternoon. These are my secondary level requests. As you could see earlier, my principals more than adequately prepared their budgets to meet the unique needs of their individual schools. I'm very passionate about career and tech ed, and our students having access to every opportunity to be career ready when they finish high school. We currently in-house offer nursing, culinary arts, CIS, ITE, and Nurse Aid, ServSafe, Microsoft certifications, among many others, to prepare our students for the workforce. In the past, we have been using the Lake Country Advanced Knowledge Center for programs that we aren't able to offer in-house, mostly due to facilities and lack of resources. So since we've utilized this center for our students to take HVAC, welding, and high-performance technology programs, I truly believe that we need to tap into these resources further. I am proposing that we offer 20 slots in each program to our high school students beginning the 15-16 academic year. This will not take away from our in-house programs. Instead, it will just increase the number of students who are graduating ready for the workforce. And I'm respectfully asking that you all honor this request to fund 60 total slots for our students. You have any questions about this?
Are these going to be the only ones you're looking at offering outside?
Yes, sir. Right now, these are the only ones that are already set up that we are looking to offer outside.
And due to space, we can't offer any of those in-house?
No, sir. One of the things I looked at before I left Bluestone was when we shifted the automotive services to Parkview, was I wanted to get the welding program there. We had so many kids that were interested in doing the welding that I actually had, I believe his name is David Smith from Southside. He came over and he evaluated what we had in-house, and the total cost just to even start the program up and just how they would have to restructure the auto lab, that was the most appropriate space for it. It came up to closely maybe about $400,000.
Any programs as far as electrical or plumbing being offered anywhere?
No, sir. Well, they're offering electrical and plumbing, but I think it's an after school, like a nighttime program at Lake Country Advanced Knowledge Center, but not in-house. No, sir.
What do we have space in-house for an electrical or plumbing program?
I could investigate it. I don't have that right off the bat, no, sir.
I only ask because I know that's a in-demand field.
Mhm.
And we see that locally here. Microsoft can't even hire enough electricians to come here to do the new addition, so that's a big need.
Okay. I will definitely investigate that.
Okay.
Did you take the clicker? Okay. All right. In terms of instructional support, as Mrs. Rogers mentioned, we did consult with the instructional coordinators to look at what our professional development needs were for the next year. We did put $50,000, and that's mostly, and this is a $20,000 increase from last year. We really need these funds so that faculty, staff, and administration division-wide can participate in conferences, have professional memberships, and most importantly, have that training to provide additional opportunities for curriculum development and alignment as we go through this academic review process. This will help us to continue making strides towards continuously improving our curriculum instruction. And then in terms of professional technology and supplies, you'll hear some of the same things. We're requesting $10,800. We did want video cameras to assist with classroom instruction and professional development, Rosetta Stone headsets, graphing, scientific calculators, etc. Do you have any questions about this slide? All right, thank you.
Good afternoon. I did not include a PowerPoint, so I went old-fashioned way. There's really very little flexibility in my special ed schedule. At this time, I would not recommend any cuts to the current staff that we have. We do have to maintain the same level we maintained the year before, so I would not recommend any cuts to current staff. My allocations are fine. I still have to continue to pay for 2 students that are through the CSEP program. You guys get that as the Norfolk bill, which is about $54,000 a year. So the only flexibility we would have had would be in that allocation for purchase services, and we need to maintain that as far as I know right now because they continue to be in that program. I am making some requests. The Cross Elementary, I am requesting an additional special education teacher. This is not caseload mandated. I'm recommending this to improve our services at La Crosse. Right now we have 2 teachers that approximately have 15 to 18 students on their caseload. They're the teachers that have the highest caseloads in the county. Every other teacher in the county runs anywhere between 10 to 12 students. They serve K through 5. We have a lot of needs in the early grades, and our achievement scores, GAP scores at La Crosse are the highest in the county with reading and math SOLs, and right now they carry the highest group of students that continue to be in reading and math resource. So I'm asking for an additional teacher so that we can increase the collaboration services at La Crosse in the 3rd and 4th and 5th grade, even the K through 2. But right now it's very, very difficult. We have lower students in the K through 2 grades are becoming more and more dependent on services. They require more services, and the 3rd through 4th grade need that support if they're in the general ed classroom. Bluestone Middle School might need an additional teacher. I have to wait until IEPs are written. Our ID students are sometimes kept at the elementary level for an extra year due to their maturity or their skills. They're not quite ready for the middle school experience yet. And then I'll have to check around at Parkview Middle School, Parkview High School, to see if there's a possibility that we could move another teacher if their numbers go down. So I'm putting that in there as a possible additional cost, but by April, I'll know for sure if we need to add a teacher or if I can move a teacher from another school. One area I'm asking for my department is another psychologist. We have a lot of students, especially in the elementary level, that have more significant emotional needs. My 2 psychologists from November to May do nothing but testing. If there's an emergency and it pulls them away from testing, we run into compliance issues with getting our testing done within the required amount of time. We have significant emotional needs at the middle school level, needs such as threatening to commit suicide, cutting themselves. At the lower level, we have out-of-control students beginning in the elementary schools. And when I say out of control, they literally could destroy a classroom. So we do have, these needs are above and beyond the school counselors. Although the school counselors have been done to do risk assessments, they are not trained to handle the emotional issues we are seeing in our children. And a lot of times we have to refer them to behavioral health because we just don't have the personnel to deal with all the emotional issues throughout the county. The additional cost would be anywhere between $46,000 to $60,000 for a psychologist. They're very hard to find. The chances of us getting one are 50-50. And a lot of times it's whether our pay is higher than the county surrounding us and whether we can steal one from another county. And that's really the only additions I am requesting for the special ed budget. Any questions?
I just had one. As far as the counseling piece goes, what services are offered throughout the county that these parents and children can get outside of school?
Okay, there are a lot of, we do provide therapeutic day services within the schools. The services are not as comprehensive as what a psychologist can offer, but we refer a lot of our students to counselors throughout the county. If we don't have, there's no psychiatrist in this county and no school psychologist that is in the, or any psychologist that's not school-based in the county. But we do have a lot of counselors, especially on the South Hill end, that we do recommend refer those parents to those counselors.
So the additional psychologist would cater to every school in the county? If the other 2 are busy testing, then that one more would go to all the different schools in the county?
No, that would not be the most feasible way to do it. What I would do is we divide the schools between the 2 psychologists. They cover 4 schools each, and what I would do is I would just divide the schools among the 3 psychologists. So they'd be able to cover 3, and maybe 6, 7, 8, 2. So the new psychologist would still be doing some counseling, and they'd be doing some testing. It would just free up the amount of time that all the psychologists would have to deal with the emotional issues in the school.
Okay.
And the principals do call on the psychologists a lot. So I just want to be able to provide more help in that area. Any other questions?
Okay, I'm going to jump around the PowerPoint, so if you stay with me. I'm going to start at page 6. And before I do that, I do want to clarify the positions. You've seen positions, I think, for teachers, 51,000, and some put 53,000. That's based on if we hire a teacher at a salary of 40,000, and all the benefits added in would really cost us about 53,000, and that does not include health insurance. So adding one teacher is about $51,000 to $53,000. Page 6, the only thing I wanted to point out there is in 2010, we were operating with a total budget of over $50 million. This past year, we had $47 million. So we're operating $3 million less and approximately 74 fewer employees than we did 6 years ago, which is significant. Page 7, I'll show you where we got this information, but at the bottom, where we rank 135th in the state, you've heard this before. A new sheet I got you, and I'll show you later in this packet. The ability to pay, the composite index, we rank 64th in the state in that. We beat 71 counties in our ability to pay locally. And we rank number 1 in our region for the ability to pay. So the 12 other schools in our region, we're number 1 with the ability to pay here in Mecklenburg County, and we rank last in the state in what we actually give our local schools. That doesn't add up. That's not good math. Page 9. The only thing I really wanted to put out there is I put a note on page 9, and that note is incorrect. The state funding this year, we're getting $72,741 less. And that's in a later slide, too. But so just scribble out that note. Page 10 goes over some of the different requests you heard, but what you did not hear is what the teacher pay increase would cost. Putting that 5-year strategic plan in place that we've shared with the Board of Supervisors, and we've shared this amount with them. It's $857,000 in the first year of that 5-year plan. Also based on Laura going through the presentation she did, showing you where we are missing. Instructional aides are woefully paid, and putting in a raise for them would be $146,000. And the only other category we looked at a raise was speech. They have never received one in the 5 years I've been here, and that would be an adjustment and cost $31,000. On page 11 is a breakdown of everything you've heard. The only other thing I wanted to point out on page 11, near the bottom, it says 1 full-time athletic director, pilot at Bluestone High School. I know Mr. Sturdivant, the athletic committee, has talked about this for a couple of years. It always seems to get left off, so we thought we would try, and we're losing our athletic director at Parkview High School this year, so we thought where we have stability, we would try it at Bluestone High School to see how that could work.
Is that, I know we had talked about for years the athletic trainer as well?
We did not put that,
Okay.
but that's something we could put if you'd like us to add in.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
The athletic director's gonna be for both ends of the county.
No, it would just be for the west end, and if it worked on the west end, then we'd look at
Come back at it later.
duplicating it
Okay.
until we got to a different point. Okay, on page 12 is the expenditures by function. These are the functions that we have to report to the state, and just to show you where the increases are. Instruction, you see the change of $3,313,611, or 11% increase. So the majority of what you heard this morning is all in instruction. Administration, attendance, and health, that's personnel and finance. Most of that increase is due to software and stuff with the finance office. Pupil transportation is an increase of $250,000. The majority of that is 2 software programs that we need to pay for, and increasing one of our leases from around $229,000 to $300-some thousand. And what that would do is take those extra vehicles and extra buses and lump them all into the lease so that we could actually purchase them now. Maintenance is an increase of $63,680, and that was the $40-some thousand in purchase service that Heather went over, and the additional $17,000 in the capital maintenance request. So all those other requests, that $700,000 you heard, that's one-time capital, that's outside of the operating budget, and that would come through either their school capital fund that they put aside, or it could come through their general capital fund that the county has about $9 million in. And then technology, with those increases, is about $336,000. Your school food remains the same. We never get up to that $2,360,000, and that's the number we use. And Crystal does have a increase for school food service in there. So there is it's no increase, it's an increase to her budget, but it won't put her over. She can still operate. So she does have a raise for cafeteria workers. Federal we show it as the same. Federal kind of fluctuates as we get grants in and out, and we don't know the exact amount. With some of the issues, we're actually looking at less funding in federal dollars over next year, which is why we have to pay for some of those instructional things that Tracy pointed out. So overall, it's a $3.9 million increase, or 8.5% increase overall. If you look at page 14, that's the revenues coming in. You see the state is $72,000 less, which is only 0.002% less. The county to fund this budget would have to give us $3.896 million, or a 30.1% increase. We do have an increase in recovered costs, and that's Medicaid and those other areas, students paying from outside the county. So that's an increase in revenue. And so that would cover the $3.991 million. And you see the percent there on that page. 50% of our, if this was funded this year, 50% of our budget is paid by the state, and the county 33%, and the composite index is 0.3609, which means they have the ability to pay 36.09%. Just in summary, this budget may seem radical, but if you look at it in the sense of the slide I showed you earlier, 6 years ago, we were operating at $50 million, and we've gained back about $1 million over the last few years, but we're operating, $3, $4 million in the hole. And so in summary, I would say it does make perfect sense for our parents and our community to want the schools to be back where they were 6 years ago. Some things that we need to communicate intelligently to our public is what doesn't make sense when we hear this rhetoric is that the test is more rigorous, and we just heard this at the General Assembly, and they have a higher cut score. So to pass the test, you have to score higher than you had to do 6 years ago. And we're doing this with far less teachers, far less staff, and $4 million less in funding. So, yes, if you give us $4 million and put that staffing back in place, I think you'd see a turnaround very drastically. It could be very quick.
So, Jim, just so I'm clear, the $4 million would cover the capital improvements as well as the
No,
increase?
that's not. The $4 million is just the operating budget.
Okay, that will cover the new teacher request?
Yes, all
Okay.
the new teacher, all the new instruction, all that you heard this morning.
All right.
And then the other piece in your packet right here
Okay.
is a composite index of all of the counties. I highlighted the counties in our region. And then on page 3 of that, I wrote my handwritten notes there, which shows, again, we beat 71 other counties with the ability to pay. And I think Joan put it in her slide, which was outstanding. A budget is more than numbers. It's what you really value. And we have the money, according to this sheet right here. We can beat 71 other counties in how we fund, yet we fund behind all of them. And that's not a good statement of values for our county. But I think people don't understand that either. So I think this is valuable information, so they look at it and they understand where the money is and what it could do. And I also included the teacher salary scale in there.
Is this the only group that's getting a pay raise?
No, back in the previous slide, it was teachers, instructional aides, speech, and cafeteria workers. But
What about bus drivers? They're not-
bus drivers, Laura's going to do that presentation at the next school board meeting. She was collecting that for you.
Okay.
So once we get that information from the other counties, we'll make that decision as well. And the last thing in here, right off of DOE, is SOQ funding at the very back, the last 2 pages. It was brought up about central office staffing, and so this sheet will give you the information you need. It actually shows you how many SOQ funded positions we are allowed. So if you go down that sheet, you can see and how much money we receive from the state. And then the next sheet behind that, I actually put where we have our staff, like instructional professional staff, the state allows 7.72 or funds 7.72. We have a director of secondary, a director of elementary, 3 instructional coordinators, and a director of special ed. So we fund 6, we're allowed 7.72, and so forth. If you see the next category is clerical, we're funded for 6.34, we have 5. And that's a recurring theme all the way through. So as far as, again, getting the correct information to the public, central office is understaffed according to SOQ funding from the state of Virginia. So it may look like we have a lot, but we do not. And that's all I have, unless you guys have questions. And I do have this that I gave you too. This is the actual line item budget, page by page, and we'll show all the increases. And again, if you have any questions on this, I'll be glad to sit down in my office with you and go over it, or over the phone, whatever you want to do, and explain how we come to those numbers, and I can show you the sheets where they're created from. Any questions? I know that was quick, but. Yes, I'll put that on the website, I'll put the PowerPoint, and we'll get the other presentations to you as well.
Good presentation.
Thank you.
I want to thank all of you for coming, taking time out of your day to come and to present to us. I think the information was very good, and I hope that going forward, whether I'm sitting here or whether I'm not sitting here, that this will be continued, because I think it's good for the board to hear what those actual needs are, rather than just seeing them on paper. And it's important that we hear from you who have gone to your teachers and you're hearing from them. So have a good rest of the afternoon, safe travels back, and we are adjourned.